right. Hey, what's up, beautiful people? How y'all doing? Welcome to another day. It's day 2 of the Fire Easter event. And today, we are graced with the almighty presence of DK here with us. Right here, and it's going to be super wonderful. He has graced us with his amazing skills, and I'm sure that we're going to see teams be extra motivated today, right there on the kill field. The teams are getting ready to go, but DK, have you what do you think about the teams that you see so far? What are those few teams you think are going to be able to perform today?
I mean, it's going to be quite exciting, right? There's a few names in here that I know, and I want to see how they're going to be performing. I'm going to be looking at the players there from EFX, Apex. I also think the O3 brothers, we've seen some strong performances come through from them. But I think it's all going to come down to what the teams are bringing to the battlefield yet again today.
All right, all right. So yesterday we saw a lot of action, but at the end of the day, it was the boys right there from Team Apex who stayed in that number one spot after the 4 games were done. They got themselves 2 winner chicken dinners on that day, but just trailing behind them was the boys from O3 Brothers, and we do know that these two will go toe to toe right until the very end. So right now, let's join the teams, but before we do that, we'll take a look at the prize pool distribution right there. This teams are fighting on for $500 all the way going to the champions. On the second place, it is $300, and third, it is $150, and the MVP takes the sum of 50 right there. The scoring system is shared as so. I mean, we've seen this new scoring system across, PMPL, PMCOs, and the likes. So far, it is first place getting that whooping 10 points, second all the way down to 7th, and then 1 kill point per kill. So we're starting off with the Erangel map, then we'll be moving on to Sanhok, then Miramar, and back in onto Erangel. So right now, let's join on with the teams and see how it goes. All right, so starting the game off right here, DK. I mean, the boys from EFX, they've had this. I don't know how to really define their performance so far. I mean, it's not been, what a lot of people expected. For me, I was expecting to see them get, just storm through the lobby because, I mean, this is EFX, right? I even presume that they should be, in the PMPO, that they're just falling off, just a little bit short. But it's just seemed like it's one of two things for me. It's either the teams in the lobby have really stepped up their gameplay, or something about them is not just gelling for now.
I think it could be the teams that just have stepped up their performances, because if you look at the amount of eliminations that the other teams have also been able to secure, I mean, it's pretty close, right? It's still a very, very contentious position. We're not seeing any drastic changes with regards to any one particular team taking a lead. So I think it's just a nice balance of teams looking to step it up collectively, but also then again taking into account the point system that it changed up. It has enforced a lot of aggression now to be coming through from the teams, right? They can't afford to sit back and just camp their way all the way to the finish. If they want those points, they got to do what Boogeyman now has to do here and step up, push forward, and try and see if they can get a bit of a jump on towards Baby.
Yeah, Baby is the IGL for 21st Century. He's always that guy that you look towards, performing quite well for the boys of 21st Century, but he will get dropped here. But, regardless of that, 21 can still do well with Baby being knocked down. That's a joke, actually. But, I mean, Baby is always, the smart guy. It's not every day you see him find himself in situations like this where he does get taken out quite early. So that's going to, affect 21's performances. They did quite well in the stages coming up into the finals, but now they're not able, to replicate that. We'll see if somehow with the rest of the players that they have, they can somehow hold on and get into that final circle. But let's take a look at the map and see where all those teams are currently situated. DK. So what do you think about what you see so far?
I mean, I think it's going to be an interesting one, especially seeing that it is a slightly more centered up zone. We've got a good distribution of the teams. I like where the players there from the Cyclone Shield are situated all the way down towards that Primorsk side. I mean, all the important compounds already being occupied, and now it's all going to come down to how the teams will be able to utilize what they've got, right? EFX also not having too much to travel to get themselves into a good secured position. But even if we look on towards the players there from Ultima Rage, I mean, everyone has such a comfortable rotation pathway into this next zone.
Yeah, absolutely. We're seeing, the teams have been, studying each other's positions throughout the entire tournament, and they know where to land, to get on their loot, and absolutely, who to push and when to. Do you think that's a disadvantage for you? Like, on the lobby, understanding where everyone is going to be positioned at any given point in time, and knowing who to attack. Does that make it easier for the teams, or it just makes eases their burden in rotations?
I think it definitely allows a lot more flexibility to the teams because they can then play their rotations or their positioning according to the knowledge that they've already acquired based on the other teams, right? So the more info you have, the better you can play around finding yourself in that more opportune position. And that's where I think the sweet spot kind of lies, is not only having that info, but being able to utilize it.
Yeah, absolutely. Invictus are, the current champions of the WAPL. They were another team that was recently formed. They've gotten themselves into, the limelight in recent times, winning that WAPL there. They know they're one of those teams. I and Priest were discussing about it yesterday. There are two types of teams. There's the team that, comes into the game more like, you probably say a Slime Fork 18 now, Blackhound. It's that team that will have 2-3 games where they totally outshine everybody. They get the chicken dinners, they drop down the mad numbers in the lobby, and then the rest of the games they are a bit, not able to put up, good performances. And I do see Invictus like that. They're one of those kind of teams. They're the kind of team that can drop, 20 kills and, get the winner with a chicken dinner and, do that maybe 2 or 3 times and then shy away the rest of the games. Whereas there's some other teams that, consistently will be second, third, fourth, second, third, fourth, and then keep on racking those 10 points, 5 points here and there. But Invictus is not really that type of team. Have you noticed that those play styles?
Yeah, I mean, we've seen it all over the place, right? You see it in the community level events. You see it happening even up into the PMPLs, moving into the championships, the PMGC teams. Try to find the kind of approach that works best for them. And I mean, if you're a team that's capable of going out there, getting aggressive, setting the bar, that speaks volumes as to the capability of that team. But the main thing I think is going to be for the team to be able to not only do that when they feel like doing it, but also having the ability to do that consistently, because in doing so, they will be able to establish such a dominance on that leaderboard that it is going to make it so challenging for anybody else to catch up to them.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely, and we definitely love some of those aggressive teams as they usually would be the ones giving us, a lot of action to spectate. So yeah, we obviously will be keeping an eye on those ones. Now we're seeing shots get let loose from the boys from Fugitives right there. As Sheikh is the boy who is taking on shots onto the boys from Invictus. Fugitives is another team that has been, performing quite well for themselves. They've gotten themselves all the way into this finals. It was a really tough battle for them, and Invictus, knowing them, they never want to shy away from a fight, and it does look like Rogue Baby or Rogue Daddy and the boys will definitely be going into this fight. Now, something interesting, DK, to comment. Although Rogue Daddy isn't playing here today, he was really good yesterday. He probably was, the one leading the charge for Invictus. But there are two names. There's Rogue Baby, and now there's Rogue Daddy. So just keep that in mind. He's not here today, but there's a daddy now. So just in case.
Ooh. All right. All right. I mean, like the way you said it there, it's got me thinking. But thinking of what we can see happen out on the battlefield. All right. Of course, keep your minds clean. We're focusing on PUBG. But either which way, I want to see what's going to happen up in towards this Pachinki position, because I mean, Invictus holding an interesting angle here, but also then, as you can see, the Fugitives, I mean, trying to just capitalize on a little bit of that compound play, and this is where, boy oh boy, Hansel drives it in. Rogue now finding themselves in a little bit of trouble, but of course the rest of the team is there to provide the necessary assistance. But it's curious to see that there's not a full-on major send coming through from the Fugitives just yet. Well, actually, they're starting to rotate up.
Man, absolutely. The boys from Fugitives are beginning to put in the damage onto the boys from Invictus right there. You can see them getting that one knock onto Rogue Baby, but they might have just been able to get Rogue Baby back up. But we'll see, what that means as they're making the push onto that fight. Now, Invictus is not that team to sort of hold back. They've lost Most Wanted, but they are still continuing on in this fight right here. You can see reports trying to see if he can do some damage with those Molotovs being let loose onto the boys from Fugitive Esports. Now, Fugitives, they sort of like have one player who's holding back, but they've gotten another knock. Now is when they might be putting in the work onto the boys right there from Invictus, as reports HP is down to pretty much what is 10%, and he gets dropped down to the ground as well. And the boys from Invictus will get sent packing back into the lobby. Lovely stuff coming in from the boys from Fugitives right there.
Yeah, they did a great job on that one. I was sitting here looking at the map as well. I'd love to see the Fugitives either in shelter or prison, when the zone allows that, of course. As we know, this time around, it's cinching up a little bit more on Pachinki. But, I mean, a great run coming through for the Fugitives. They've now been able to alleviate a lot of that pressure surrounding them. And now they have the chance to really hunker down, get themselves solidified, and wait to see where this next zone is going to be going. Because if it stays within this region, they already got the setup done. All they got to do is then just defend.
Yeah, absolutely. The boys from Fugitives there giving themselves the maximum chance to, be in the next circle and probably all the way towards that stage 3 if they do maintain that position. Now they can just lock around that position right there, lock down that position right there in Pochinki. The zone will be creeping slowly. But the boys from EFX just lurking around, the boys from Active Gaming, as we do see Skinny and Surge just making the rotation. Skinny is usually the one who is, just trying as much as possible to find the best spot, and he's coming, pretty close towards the boys right there from EFX, and it does look like there might be some action, letting loose. He has come down from his buggy, and he might be giving that information to the rest of his team about their position, and you can see the shots being let loose. He does come down right there. He gets pretty stuck, and he's now beginning to send the shots onto the boys from EFX, looking to see if he can take some shots, but he gets put down to the ground as the boys from AFX are continuing on. They do get another knock right there as Active Gaming have 2 players who are currently dropped down. It's just Surge and the boy right there from Godier who are left for Active Gaming in this one.
Yeah, it's been a very, very risky play coming through here from them, so let's see whether or not they can get their act together and still maintain that potential 2-player play as they now move forward. They got to say, everything that we just saw come in from the side of EFX, I mean, no surprise that they are sitting where they are sitting on that leaderboard. But the opportunity still awaits them, because now up comes the knocks. It is down to Gaudier to try and see if they can get that final play. And this is going to be a very risky one, because we can see that blue zone is going to be starting to move in momentarily, but there's not a lot of rotational options that remain.
Yeah, absolutely. It's going to be a difficult one for the boys of Active Gaming to get themselves into a great spot within that zone, as the boys from EFX are currently on the chase, looking for that last player to get that elimination through and, get that extra bit of points. And the boys from Active Gaming not really having quite the game that they would have hoped, as several different teams are already finding themselves within that zone. They've got to, make the rotations if they're going to still make something out of this game and get those placement points. We'll be curious to see, if they can at the end of the day. But we're going to see sitting down with 50 buddies right here and 14 teams as right there in the game. It is just the boys from Invictus who have been taken out of the game, but Active Gaming has lost 3 of their players, and several different teams are now currently beginning to make the rotations into that zone. All 3 brothers in Royal Academy are currently lurking around each other as we're moving all the way into that stage 3 of the zone. And several different teams are now beginning to inch quite closer towards that position right there at Pochinki. We might see some action going down pretty soon. But, everyone's just finding this spot, taking it easy for now. And I believe it's just Fugitives and, the boys from Royal Academy who are currently just, being very, good neighbors for now. Just saying hi to each other, like, how are you doing? How are you doing? We're going to fight later? Yeah, we will. For now, let's just drink beer.
Yeah, based on what we're seeing so far, I think this is really going to be a good Friday, just based on what the teams have been doing so far. I mean, Fugitives now, Arrow, finding out that you can't really play in side-to-side position, as they would have hoped, as the stairs do present a little bit of a challenge But I mean, the opportunity is still there, right? Royal Academy just going to be hanging in the wing, maybe trying to just utilize that 2-2 split. As we can see, there are several teams lurking in the region as well, and of course, just to the north of them is going to be those O3 brothers. So, yeah, if they can secure a decent position, now's going to be the time before they get pushed.
Yeah, absolutely. There's a potential third party that might come through between these teams if they do decide to, make a push on themselves. But for me, what I think is going to happen is there's probably going to be a team like O3 Brothers who is lurking around this region who's going to decide to push one of these teams as the circuit keeps getting smaller, and they're going to get absolutely third partied by, one of the other teams between Fugitive Esports and Royal Academy. So we're curious to see that happen right here. But that looks pretty likely as all these teams are just beginning to make their rotations. There's also the boys from EFX who have now found themselves within, the play zone, as the boys from Apex are currently within their vicinity, and we can see if these two of them start, getting into a battle right there. As you can see, Moonlight pretty just strafing and dodging a bunch of shots coming in from late.
Yeah, it's a nice little bit of that range altercation, but it does seem like Moon Knight is going to be falling back into the safety there of Gatka. So, there's going to be a little bit of pressure on for the remainder of EFX to see if they can find any bit of a contingency plan coming through on that. But, yeah, we got Reverb, Too Late, Pyro, Carl, everybody's still up and at it. Just basically waiting for where this next zone shift is going to be taking them. But if we look a little bit onto that more southern side, also potentially on towards the eastern side, we do have a few potential things in development. We can see the players there from Gen X just sitting quite comfortably and snuggly behind the players there from the Cyclone Shield esports team, that of course all the way down in Ferry Pier. Then over on towards Potato Hill, we also have a few potential plays on that front. So I'm curious to see what these teams are going to do as the next zone is about to shift on through. Oh, and it shifts right up to Potato Hill, and that's where Men of Blood now have the opportunity to really hunker down on that position.
Yeah, absolutely, and this changes a lot of things because now you're seeing all those teams coming in from that northwestern region, and I do believe a lot of skirmishes are definitely going to happen around those regions as the boys from O3, Royal Academy, Fugitive Esports, and the boys from Apex are currently just rotating across those, and we might begin to see shots being let loose in a moment right here, but we'll keep an eye on that and see how things continue to build now. Everyone's, just hopping into the vehicles looking to, begin, finding a spot for themselves within that zone. But my goodness, what a game this is, DK. 14 teams in this small zone.
Yep, and that's going to be quite exciting, but now comes the hard work, especially for the teams situated on towards that western front. I mean, EFX also finding themselves within that that assessment, right, being one of those western teams having to rotate towards the zone. But based on their current trajectory that they're taking here, they could find themselves a very comfortable and quiet northern position to sneak in towards. And that could definitely play into their favor, but they are potentially going to be contested as the Royal Academy also look to maybe, crown a few victorious plays.
Yeah, absolutely. The boys from Royal Academy just rotating around this region. They're also one of those teams that does tend to, take those very aggressive plays, and they might be looking for that one knock and entry into this particular fight to take on the boys from EFX. Just one, mistake coming in from the boys from EFX could open up this fight, absolutely. But there's a lovely spread coming in for the boys from EFX that may just give them advantage at this fight.
Let's see whether or not they're going to be able to capitalize on that. Already is going to be Smoke, and now to find a bit of a brick wall that they've run into, but it is going to be the side there of Afro also then just swinging in behind them, and this is not the kind of sandwich that Royal Academy have been waiting for, so they have to act relatively quickly. But fortunately, a knock has been sent over on towards Afro, and this allows now for the side here of Tokyo and Code to get themselves a little bit better situated, maybe secured into some hard cover.
Unfortunate events coming in for the boys from Royal Academy right there, as they do find themselves in a situation where they lose two of the players. Those eliminations going to both EFX and Afro, who came in with a third party right there. And amazing stuff coming in from Afro, getting, those extra bits of elimination. But we might also see a fight coming in between the boys from Afro and now the boys from O3 Brothers, who were going toe-to-toe against each other. Peachy, who is the main man, the man who you expect to be making the push, is currently put down to the ground, and DK, this might just be the end for Afro.
Yeah, it's looking quite shaky, but look at that though, the shot coming through here from the O3 Brothers connecting in as rolls. Now looks for a bit of an opening, and this is quite the bold move, but I think rightly so, because they've had a great opportunity, and up comes the full send, a little bit of a car crash as they now push up the hill, but will they be able to secure those elims though?
Man, absolutely amazing stuff coming in for the boys from O3, looking to see if they can get, you know, those LMs secured, but EFX being absolutely fast in this particular one, faster than DK was in, you know, the beginning of the game. But now you can see the shots being let loose onto their corners right and center as the boys from Afro Esports do get a third-party shot right there onto the boys from O3, and they're down to just the last player. It's just grief to keep their hopes alive in this game, and what looked like they were the ones, you know, on fire, making that push early on is now them, you know, just getting pushed back and running away.
Yeah, well, they do have a bit of a saving grace. The zone did shift up, but it is still relatively close to them, so they won't have that far to travel to get themselves secured on through. Meanwhile, Afro are going to be taking the plunge, securing themselves all the way up in towards the north. And now the whole table starts to turn, because a big majority of the teams are all situated towards that southern side, and we could maybe have a Pachinki Fields finish.
Yeah, absolutely. The boys from, you know, Afro Esports, you know, coming in with those two eliminations. It looked like they were in a very sticky situation just a moment ago, as they found themselves in between several different squads, but they got themselves out of that dodge quite quickly and escaped the ops, and now they're pretty close to the boys from EFX, and it might look like, you know, we might see something going down between the two of them. But it's also curious to see that the boys from EFX got themselves 5 eliminations in those skirmishes that occurred in that region, and still managed to hold on to the full team.
Yeah, I mean, the only other contenders we have for the time being is going to be the Fugitives that find themselves sitting with 4 eliminations to their name. So curious to see what the Fugitives are going to bring to the table. But now it is going to be the opportunity for the O3 brothers to quickly just sneak on by, looking to get themselves secured and establish a bit of a stronghold there. But Pyro and the rest of EFX, they're just going to be lurking in the wing, trying to hit every pixel that's moving.
Man, absolutely. The boys from AFX looking for that opener coming up against the boys from Afro Esports. And, you know, Afro Esports, one of those teams that, you know, is absolutely aggressive. We've seen them in several different competitions. We used to know them as the boys from Fair before they got, you know, signed on by the boys from, by the esports group Afro. And they've been in several different competitions, such as the Zanzi. And now they're looking to push on to the boys from AFX. The two of them know each other quite well, and they're beginning on with their onslaught right here. You can see the boys from Afro looking to see how they can edge closer and closer into the zone, and that's what they're prioritizing right now. And is this a smart move from them, DK? You know, they have gotten one knock, they're deciding not to push, instead prioritizing, you know, getting themselves into a good spot within that zone.
Well, they're definitely going to be playing for longevity here, but that slow, steady roll up the hill, I would not advise that, but it does so far work out here for Punk, as we did see a nice little bit of that AWAM action now coming through all the way on towards Reverb. But will this be the opportunity? Afro now just starting to play their angles out. Pyro trying to bring in a little bit of a helping hand. They want to bring their team back into full force. Meanwhile, Zorn has taken a quite aggressive shift all the way down to that southern side. As you can see in the kill feed, things are starting to pop off all over the place. But Afro, now they need to prioritize positioning and let that engagement go, because it's not going to bode well for them.
Yeah, the boys from Afro have got to be absolutely careful on, you know, how they do take these engagements around them. They got so many different teams that can get into their way and be sort of like Trojan horses and take them down. But they continue to look for those eliminations or that entry knock into the boys from AFX. And I do believe that they've got to prioritize getting themselves into a good spot within that zone. But we're also seeing other skirmishes going down in several different regions, as other teams are now beginning to feel the heat, per se, as the boys from Apex have one of the players who is currently knocked down. You can see trying to, you know, get into a good spot to defend his team, as the boys from MOB, the boys from you know, Ultima, are currently around the same vicinity.
Ooh, yeah, I mean, this is a good setup coming through here from the Men of Blood, because they still have that great opportunity and elevation available up on towards Potato Hill. But in the meanwhile, it's going to be Slay that will get taken on down. Apex also now looking to apply a little bit of that pressure. And I'm not quite sure whether or not Phantom is going to be able to make it to the end of this match. They should be falling relatively soon, especially now that we can see Apex starting to apply even more pressure. Up they come. Moonlight now come flying through there with the buggy, trying to see if they can maybe fish out a bit of that hit marker held in the smoke. But here comes the utility, and this could be it.
And Phantom hanging on for dear life. This is the last one for his team, Ultima, and he will get sent taken out by the ball right there, Blessing, as Apex continue to assert their dominance in this game. Currently, they're sitting down in that #1 spot, and this is where they usually come out alive. You know, they're one of those teams that, you know, just springs up in that final urge of the circle, and they're looking for those extra bits of eliminations. As you can see, Moonlight just coming up right next to the boy right there, Boogeyman, who was just hanging around that smoke, but it doesn't quite work out for him, as well. Some UJS had that spread, and sometimes it might just work against you.
Yeah, well, let's see how this is going to go. As the rest of the team now looks to move on forward. Moonlight playing chicken there with Freak in the fourth. Freak not going to back down out of that altercation. Instead, they run right over them, and now the pressure is going to be on. But let's see where this one goes. Again, the zone takes another bit of a shift, heading further on towards that eastern side. We don't see many teams. In fact, there are no teams currently situated within that zone. So the pressure is on for the teams to get themselves situated.
Man, absolutely. There are, you know, just the rest of the teams are currently pretty much just outside that zone, taking on, you know, that fight. We do see the boys from CLS. They're down to this, the last guy now. It is just Roach who's currently trying to keep their hopes alive in this game. They do have one elimination, but they are currently on ground with the boys right there from Fugitive Esports, and who we saw, you know, get into the action earlier on. And my goodness, Roach does find himself annihilated and sent out of the game right here. We do still have 5 teams left in this game. It is boys from EFX, Apex, who do have a good position and stance within that zone, as they currently still have 4 players in their team, and it's looking like they might continue to boost themselves up on that leaderboard.
Yep, they're not out of the running just yet. Still sitting with those 9 elims to their name, so there's a lot that can still come into fruition here. Well, of course, that is going to require Carl not to hit any of the rocks or the obstacles within their way. Like, you got to bring in a smooth rotation moving forward. But up comes the side there from Apex, all the way on the opposite end of zone. Not a clear line of sight, but the blue zone is definitely going to be forcing the hand. And this could be a great opportunity now for Apex just to let it loose and find anyone else that's going to be moving into zone.
Apex trying as much as possible to get into a good spot within that zone, but my goodness, what a time right there. Hansel trying as much as possible to defend his team, but he will get sent backpacking into the lobby by the boys from Apex. As they continue on with their onslaught so far, they're holding quite a good position within that zone right there. And you can see them just playing it absolutely aggressive. And now is where Apex continue to show their dominance. Fireboy and his boys, they're sending out shots to everyone right there who's outside that circle. Now Bello trying to hang on for their life is currently, you know, just hanging along those edges. And Apex, all they've got to do right here, DK, is just wait it out.
Well, let's see how much waiting they'll be able to do. Apex really starting to assert quite a bit of a dominating position here. But now Pyro still trying to find a bit of that entry point. Abilo also just on the edge, hiding in the smokes, trying to play that tree ridge line. But the O3 brothers, we can see them up on the minimap sitting over towards that northwestern side. They've not really been making all that much noise, and this could be a great opportunity for them now looking to strike, as we can see Griff already sitting up on 4 eliminations for the total of 5. Ooh, but here we go, Fireboy doing as their name suggests, now trying to reach all the way across and just add a little bit of that action now into Ruthless.
Man, what a time right there. You can see everyone just hanging on to their life in this particular one. EFX is currently sitting down with just a 1 player, but maybe, just maybe, someone can turn things around. There's also the boys from O3 who are currently just lurking around. You can see Grief just snaking, you know, quite close towards that edge right there with the boys from you know, Apex are currently situated. Can they get that 1 knock? That may just open things down for the entire teams right here. If the boys right there can get 1 knock, and you can see that has now happened as that player Pyro does get 1 knock onto the boys from Apex, and this might just begin to turn things around. Now it's a 2v3v1, but okay, it's a 2v3. Apex coming up against the boys on O3. This is #1 versus #2 right there on the leaderboard, and these 2 teams are, you know, gearing for who takes that extra bit of points and grabs that 10 points.
Ooh. Moonlight Getting cheeky as they rush out. Up comes the spray, and that is it. The chicken is in the bag, and a very well-deserved performance coming through from the side of Apex. I mean, look at those elims, right? Sitting very, very comfortably up at the top. I mean, that is what, 14 eliminations in total. Really a good day at the office.
Man, absolutely amazing stuff coming in from the boys from Apex, as well as all three brothers, getting themselves 5 eliminations on that second. Spots continuing to, just maintain their dominance on that leaderboard and hold on to, the goal of grabbing those maximum, prize pool right there with the $500. We'll continue to see if what that means at the end of the day, as we'll be taking a quick break in a moment right here. It is for now. It is I and DK. Do remember to hit that like and hit that subscribe, and we'll be right back for some more action in a bit. When we do come back, we'll take a look at the current leaderboard and where every team does fit right now. We'll be right back. See you soon.
We're in trances, going off to different places, different planets. Watch your aura pass me by, losing balance. What if we run out of time and second chances? Empty-handed. You like the fast life, you like to drive, get down dirt, act like the bad guy. You want some love, you like when you feel like calling midnight. You got the best of me, you got me losing sleep. I've been hopeful, baby, I was hoping maybe that you crossed my path. I've been sinking lately, and it's hard to move. Think I'm stuck on you. We're in trances, going off to different places, different planets. Watch your aura pass me by, losing balance. What if we run out of time and second chances? Empty-handed. I wonder, would you love me better if I go? I'm not home. I wonder, can we trust the stars above to let us know? I'd go. We don't regret this life. No guarantees the stars align. Follow your passion trail and try to keep an open mind. I didn't by myself. No guarantees you'll find me. Said if it's faith you'll find me. Leaving the past behind. We're in trances, going off to different places, different planets. Watch your aura pass me by, losing balance. What if we run out of time and second chances? Empty-handed. I wonder, would you love me better if I go? I'm not home. I wanna know, can we trust the stars above to let us know? I'd go. Whoa. We're in trances, going off to different places, different planets. Watch your aura pass me by, losing balance. What if we run out of time and second chances? Empty-handed. You like the fast life, you like to drive, get down dirt, act like the bad guy. You want some love, you like when you feel like calling midnight. You got the best of me, you got me losing sleep. I've been hopeful, baby, I was hoping maybe that you crossed my path. trust the stars above to let us know how to go? Whoa. We're in trances, going off to different places, different planets. Watch your aura pass me by, losing balance. What if we run out of time and second chances? Empty-handed. You like the fast life, you like the drive, get down and dirty, act like the bad guy. You want some love, be like when you feel like calling at midnight. You got the best of me, you got me losing sleep. I've been hopeful, baby, I was hoping maybe that you cross my path. I've been sinking lately, and it's hard to move. Think I'm stuck on you. We're in trances, going off to different places, different planets. Watch your aura pass me by, losing balance. What if we run out of time and second chances? Empty-handed. I wonder, would you love me better if I go? I'm not home. I wonder, can we trust the stars above to let us know how to go? We only got this life, no guarantees and stars align. Follow your passion trail and try to keep an open mind. Hiding it by myself, no guarantees you'll find me. Said if it's faith you'll find me, leaving the past behind. We're in trances, going off to different places, different planets. Watch your aura pass me by, losing balance. What if we run out of time and second chances? Empty-handed. I wonder, would you love me better if I go? I'm not home. I wanna know, can we trust the stars above to let us know how to go? Whoa. We're in trances, going off to different places, different planets. Watch your aura pass me by, losing balance. What if we run out of time and second chances? Empty-handed. You like the fast life, you like the drive, get down and dirty, act like the bad guy. You want some love, be like when you feel like calling at midnight. You got the best of me, you got me losing sleep. I've been hopeful, baby, I was hoping maybe that you cross my path. I've been sinking lately, and it's hard to move. Think I'm stuck on you. We're in trances, going off to different places, different planets. Watch your aura pass me by, losing balance. What if we run out of time and second chances? Empty-handed. I wonder, would you love me better if I go? I'm not home. I wonder, can we trust the stars above to let us know how to go? We only got trust the stars above to let us know how to go. We're in trances, going off to different places, different planets. Watch your aura pass me by, losing balance. What if we run out of time and second chances? Empty-handed. You like the fast life, you like to drive, get down and dirty, act like the bad guy. You want some love, you like when you feel it calling at midnight. You got the best of me, you got me losing sleep. I've been hopeful, baby, I was hoping maybe that you cross my path. I've been sinking lately, and it's hard to move. Think I'm stuck on you. We're in trances, going off to different places, different planets. Watch your aura pass me by, losing balance. What if we run out of time and second chances? Empty-handed. I wonder, would you love me better if I go? I'm not home. I wonder, can we trust the stars above to let us know how to go? You only got this life, no guarantees. The stars align, follow your passion trail, and try to keep an open mind. Hiding it by myself, no guarantees you'll find me. Said if it's faith you'll find me, leaving the past behind. We're in trances, going off to different places, different planets. Watch your aura pass me by, losing balance. What if we run out of time and second chances? Empty-handed. I wonder, would you love me better if I go? I'm not home. I wanna know, can we trust the stars above to let us know how to go? We're in trances, going off to different places, different planets.
Hey, what's up, people? What's going down? We're back again for some more action, and that first game was absolutely filled with so much violence right from the beginning all the way to the end. And DK, what did you think about that match? What do you think about the teams? How did it look like for you?
I mean, it was quite an exciting start coming through to kick us off with the proceedings over on towards Erangel. But as we know, it all has to translate over into Miramar because it's going to be the exact same team stepping up. Hopefully, the flight path is going to change a little slight bit as we did see that north to southwestern flight path come in. And looking at things, yeah, it does seem like it could be an interesting play moving through, but I think it's all going to come down to how the teams get themselves positioned and who's going to be those ones that will be zone blessed.
Yeah, absolutely. But taking a look at the leaderboard, I believe is going to change in just a moment in time. It is the boys from Apex who will continue to assert their dominance on that entire leaderboard as they do find themselves, just leading that park right there with 82 points. I do believe that takes them down to 27 points ahead of the boys from O3 Brothers, and the rest of the lobby has to now do a lot to see if they can begin to reduce that gap between themselves and the boys from Apex. Otherwise, Apex is running away with this one. Now, let's get into the next game as the boys from Apex will be looking to see if they can continue to boost their points up on that leaderboard. They've put on the work, and we'll see if they do have a game that's pretty similar to the previous one.
Well, they are going to be finding themselves in a little bit of a hot spot because 21st Century dropping alongside them over in towards the lovely El Azhar. But as we look over onto the side here of the players from the Fugitives, they're just going to be trying to glide their way on down, looking to get themselves set up right here in towards Minas Generales. Now the pressure is going to be on because, well, they're not alone. They do have a few visitors here, and it's going to be Apex now looking to contest them for a little bit of that early game altercation.
Yeah, absolutely. And Fujitsu Esports is the boys who they do know how to take on those early fights somehow. I do think that that's where they do have like a strong foot. But we do see Moonlight getting dropped down to the ground. He was holding a DBS, and for a moment, I was just thinking to myself, like, "Hey, this might be a little problem for the boys from Fujitsu." But Fujitsu's coming into this game with a three-man squad, have started it off quite well for themselves as they've gotten one elimination in the bag, with just the numbers of the boys from Apex down to 3, and it's pretty even when it comes to the numbers right now.
Well, let's see what they're going to be able to do here. Already found the first one. Now Fireboy coming under fire. But is that going to be sufficient? Will they be able to maybe survive the onslaught? As it's only a 3-piece coming in to this match for the side there of the Fugitive. So the pressure is going to be on. Now Apex, I mean, also reduced down to 3. We got Blessin, Kage, and Fireboy. Maybe they could sneak a little bit of some in there.
Yeah, absolutely. We're seeing, the boys from Apex, with Fireball right here, trying to, get out of that position and just escape the ups who are currently on his trail, and it does look like he's able to do that as he just gets away from that position. And that's the thing you do love about Team Apex. They know how to play it smart. They know, when the fights shouldn't be taken. They're not just blindly aggressive, and that's exactly, what we're seeing right here as. Oh my goodness. That's the boy. We're not leaving you guys. We're not leaving you guys. We're still here, okay? We're still here. All right.
I almost thought for a second you were just like, you know what, I've had it. I've had it. It's not fair. I wanted to see 21st Century make it even further, and we're going to end the match right there. I mean, but of course, that's not the case, and we're going to look on. And still, we are seeing a few interesting potential players coming through. I mean, Fugitive's not out of the woods just yet, but it does seem like Apex are just alleviating a little bit of that pressure, starting to disengage. We did see Fireboy heading further down towards that southern edge. And this is where I would love to see from Apex prioritizing positioning, especially in these first few phases, right? Looking to get themselves into good play, which they can then defend and really play a strong hand from that position.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll see if they can in a moment time. But lovely stuff either ways coming in from the voice from Fugitives. And it's not a lot of times you see, the champions in the lobby getting chased out of their spot and, getting sent back away by another team. And you can see that the boys from Fugitives, like we did mention earlier on, know how to, hold and defend their position quite early. But while the action was going down right here, we did see the boys from 21st Century get sent back packing into the lobby by the boys from EFX, who are all the way at El Ahazar. My Nigerian tongue or Zimbabwean tongue just failed me, and it's terrible that I've just failed two nations at the same time.
It's okay. It's okay. I mean, speaking Spanish or saying the Spanish names, it's also something that I sometimes struggle with, right? You run low on airtime. That's what happens.
Yeah.
And if you don't have the available airtime, you just got to do what you got to do. But in the meanwhile, we're going to wait to see what is going to come through from all our respective teams, because even in the place here from Invictus, they've now ventured even closer in towards that Hacienda del Patron San Martin position, expanding their options, really stretching their legs in this area, but they've not found much eliminations though.
Yeah, absolutely. Now we're seeing Habitual coming up pretty close in the beginning to let the shots loose. I do believe it is the boys from Afro Esports, and speaking on these boys, will be looking to take on this fight. Afro is not one of those teams who backs away from a fight. They never do. They rather die, and that's exactly what they're going to be doing right here as they do, begin to get into what is a potential fight. Peachy and his boys getting and itching quite closer and closer to this one up against the boys from Team Habitual. We saw Habitual, get into several different grid skirmishes right there. You can see Hunter dropping down Jealousy right there, but the shots coming in from a distance from Psycho might be causing some problems for the boys from Afro. But Habitual, they've got to somehow find a way to fight out of this one, as they're left with just the one player. It's just Psycho, who is trying as much as possible to hold on for their life here, but the boys from Afro might be looking for him to take him out.
Well, I like what Afro has been doing here, just showing so much aggression, moving in, not losing a single player. Instead, picking up all the players there from Habitual. Now, Psycho needs to make that decisive call. Are they going to look to stay around, or maybe take a bit of a solo approach and just sneak themselves much further into with that more center zone? Because currently looking at where it is centered up towards Los Leones. So there's a lot of space to hide in.
Yeah, definitely, definitely. We'll see, how that one continues to play out right there. But Afro Esports have secured a couple of eliminations in the bag, and they're itching quite closer and closer towards that zone. And you can see them trying to play it really smart in that one. But taking a look at the zone, we do see that zone moving towards that southern region around La Bendita and the rest. I'm just gonna call the names that I can pronounce. Chumacera, La Bendita, okay, Puerto. I'm gonna, just call those few ones. But all three brothers sitting down in that center across several regions that I'm not gonna dare to try to pronounce because I feel like I'm gonna fail and be low on airtime again. So I'm just gonna leave that one. But the boys from Royal Academy also finding themselves around those regions around Impala. And Active Gaming all the way towards that southwestern region. But let's get on ground with the boys from Apex as they begin on with the onslaught right here. And they do have one coming through. Remember, they lost one of the players quite early on to the boys from Fugitives. And it does look like the two of them are still going toe-to-toe against each other as they do drop down arrow.
Yeah, this is now going to be up to Shake to see if they can maybe get that res secured. Meanwhile, Blessin is going to be applying that pressure coming through on towards Hansel. So maybe Gretel could join us sometime soon as well. We don't know, but we'll find out soon enough what is going to be on the books here. As Arrow slightly pinched down, Blessin just trying to reach across. But surprisingly, the rest of Apex just keeping a very standoffish position here. We're not seeing any of them really looking to show up aggressively and just aid in securing these eliminations.
Yeah, I don't think that they're one of those teams who just goes toe-to-toe. But speaking about aggression, here we do have the boys from UGX coming up against the boys from Invictus. We saw them get into a skirmish in the game coming up in Erangel, and they weren't able to quite get, the performances going. Will they be having the same outcome in this one, as we do see one of the players, Rogue Daddy, remember the Daddy, getting dropped down to the ground, and the boys from UGX now beginning to apply the pressure onto the boys from Invictus.
Well, let's see where this one's going to go now. Legend cooking it up with a frag as suggested in their name. Rogue Baby keeping an eye and see if they can get over to Daddy. But Lynx could be upsetting this whole play, at least for the time being. So the pressure's going to be on. Need to see whether or not Gen X can push through, even though they've already had their numbers start to dwindle. But there's our answer as the final hits are secured on in. That is Gen X getting backed up, and of course Rogue can get themselves back into the fight now.
Yeah, absolutely. Rogue Daddy.
Ooh, that's some R&R action right there. There we go.
Yeah.
A little bit of R&R.
Yep. Rogue Baby lifting up Rogue Daddy and getting him back up to action right there, and we'll see how he continues to, if he is able to repay his team by getting into the action in this game. But you do see Snip, the man, getting a squad wipe onto the boys from UGX right there. We're able to spectate him, but an absolutely great gameplay, keeping them in the game as he did it entirely all by himself. I mean, he pretty much just told the rest of his teammates to just hold his beer while he was all the way, performing the action right there.
Yeah, they just went snip, and it was done. Squad wipe secured. But of course, it's going to be a little bit more action now coming through here as the Fugitives are getting challenged. Ooh, a nice nade getting sent up to the top, but we did not see Shake's nade make the necessary connection. And it's down to a two-piece. It's going to be Arrow and Shake now just trying to survive as best they can, and things could get a little bit risky from this point.
Yeah, the boys from Ultima Rage, trying to see if they can get into the boys right there from Fugitives as they're putting the work into them right there. And the Fugitives are down to just the last player. The Shakes, his arrow is currently put down to the ground, and the confirmation has also come through for the boys from Ultima right there. And Shake has pretty much just got to get out of this position as the ops are pulling quite closer and closer to his location. You can see Phantom now approaches him, and he just dropped Phantom down to the ground. He has bought himself some time. We'll see if they do allow him get out of this position right here. He did, prioritize trying to escape, Taco as well comes into this vicinity, and you can see right there it's pretty difficult for him to hang on to their life as all of the players, totally angry in that position, drop him to the ground, and you can see them just sharing their frustration as they do lose one of the players.
Yeah, well, I mean, a good rebound coming through there from the side of Ultima Rage, but now they need to focus themselves on that zone positioning. In the meanwhile, still a little bit of action now starting to come through as we see Invictus down to its 3-piece, but Rogue Daddy now being pretty isolated as Rogue Baby has been taken on down. The players there from Afro applying all the heat that they can muster coming in right from that northern approach, and the pressure's going to be on. As you can see, the rest of Invictus now just trying to close this gap to bring in that much needed support.
Yeah, absolutely. Those two teams have lost one player on each side as the boys from Afro have taken out Rogue Baby from the game. But Hunter and the rest of the players, like we said earlier on, they never want to back away from a fight because Peachy trying to get that angle, but he's down to pretty much what is a 1 HP. This nade might just do the damage, but it does not connect into that position where Peachy is currently at. And DK, this one looks quite tough for the boys from Afro.
Oh yes, but unfortunately, as we can see, Peachy managing to quickly sneak a bit of a med kit into this mix there, so it does allow them a little bit of that continuity, and now they can continue on with the fight. But I love this repositioning coming through here from Rogue Daddy, as they've now just inched their way up behind the wall, allowing them some great vantage points down onto the side of Afro. But still, Punk Hunter could look to bring in a bit of an upset. But this is where they need to decide. Are they going to try and stick around because they could still at the same time utilize the terrain to make the great escape?
Yeah, absolutely. We'll see, how this one works out. But Invictus knowing when to back out of a fight, get another angle. You can now see the Rogue Daddy. Let's get an angle onto Peachy, sending on the shots. He does do the amount of work that does allow the rest of his teammates drop them down to the ground. Now Afro is down to just the one player, and you can see that push now finally coming through as Hunter and his boys have a lot of work to do to get the player back up. The man Peachy is currently down to the ground. Hunter is currently somehow keeping them at bay in this one, while the boys from Invictus are making their push, and we'll see how it continues to work out as Peachy does get dropped down to the ground again, and Hunter sending on them nades into that position does a little bit of damage onto Rogue Daddy. But with Invictus, constantly trying to put in the work, Hunter gets dropped down to the ground and Afro down to the last guy, and Invictus does the amount of work to keep themselves alive in this game. DK, they're sitting down with 6 eliminations.
Yeah, I mean, they're doing some pretty good work right there, but now there's still a little bit more to go. As you can see, Ultima Rage also behind them. The pressure is definitely going to be on, but Slay now getting hit with those retaliation hits, allowing Tacos and Moon to try and close the gap. So you can see them pushing in. Great opportunity to really bring in quite a bit of an upset on the side there of Invictus, but Most Wanted managing to evade the hits. Moon now really having to try and just flex that up front position, right? They've got themselves positioned right on their front step. All they got to do is just peer over that ridge and hopefully secure the hits.
Yeah, Ultima Raid looking to see if they can secure those extra bits of eliminations coming up against the boys from Invictus. They did it in the previous game, and obviously we'll be looking to see if they can do that right here. They've taken out the boys from Fugitives out of the game, but lost one player in that battle going down with Fugitives, and they will be continuing to see if they can get those eliminations coming through. But currently sitting down, we're in that stage 2, and several different teams are now moving towards that southern region, and we'll be looking to see if they can perform, quite well. But here comes the boys from Active Gaming as well, all the way in that southern region against the boys from Royal Academy, and it's the boy Anez who is also, pretty much just getting surrounded right here, and he does decide, hey, to just retreat away from that position, get into a fight right there with the boys from Royal Academy, as they do lose one of their players who has gotten dropped down to the ground. Now here comes Like a Boy and the rest of the squad coming up against the rest of the players right there for Active Gaming.
Well, let's see whether or not they're going to be able to close this one up. Now, Enes just trying to hold up on the edge here. Ooh, but I love what they're doing here. Royals inching their way forward. That is going to be a quite troubling position as Boy now gets taken on down. The heat is on, and there we go. Tokyo comes in swinging. It's now down to Surge and, of course, Garnier to see if they can pick up the last few pieces.
Yeah, Gotti is sending on the shots right there as he tries as much as possible to keep the hopes alive for his team. And somehow they've got to get this one done and dusted, as the boys right there might be getting thirsted. And you can see that Surge is trying to get into the mix right there and battle it out, as he does get one of his players back up, and they're getting back into the fight. Skinny is currently, getting back up into the fight, and it's just two players for the boys from Royal Academy who are currently trying as much as possible to hold onto this particular position. And Tokyo's health is pretty low. He gets dropped down to the ground, and Surge just tries as much as possible to get out of that position. And it's just Skinny that's within this vicinity, but he's coming up against just the one player. But Skinny will get thirsted, as the third party is also coming through right there onto the boys for Active Gaming.
Wow, that is an absolute saving grace now, as the players here from the Royal Academy looking to bring themselves back into contention. Only losing one player is not that big of a trade-off, but will that be enough though? As we can see, Active still going to be hanging in the wing. We also see a few of those glorious hits now just raining down from up above, as Ruthless tries to capitalize and just strengthen their play. But this is where things are looking pretty worrying, as Smoker just got that res into Tokyo, now has to do it yet again. And that, of course, allows for the players from the side of Ruthless to stay true to their name, move into position, and just clamp down and lock them up.
Man, absolutely. Ruthless Asado and his boys looking to clamp down onto the rest of the players right there for Royal Academy, and you can see them inching closer and closer, trying to see if they can get that elimination through. And the boys from Royal Academy, were looking like they were going to get taken out of the game quite early on in that fight against the boys from Active Gaming, but somehow their Angels, who will also be their nemesis, managed to keep them alive for this game.
Let's see what's going to happen here. I mean, Tokyo maybe could start drifting. I'm not quite sure. Well, they obviously need a vehicle before they can start drifting, right? But either which way, just trying to get themselves back up this little hillside. And this is where I love what the players from Ruthless are doing here, is because they're putting up such a difficult line for Royal Academy to cross. They need to try and expand that and ensure that they've got their eyes on all these different angles, as the blue zone is going to be applying the pressure, moving in. Tokyo now starting to drift as they just slide around the edge. This could be that exit strategy as Smoker moves in, but it's going to be a very tough play. And where they're going to go, because as they move to that western side, they are still within the line of sight now for the players there from Ruthless.
And absolutely, the boys from Royal Academy are pretty much just going to get out of that position right there, escaping the ops, but I did feel like, DK, the boys from Ruthless could have been, more aggressive in that push. I mean, it did seem like they were a little bit aggressive, coming in with the third parties, but somehow they just, weren't going in on that push against the boys right there from Royal Academy. But now, speaking about being aggressive, you also have the boys from AFX who are now also beginning to put in the work right there onto the boys from Rootless, and coming in with their own set of third parties. They do get an elimination onto Pico Boy, and now EFX wants to get those shots let loose onto the boys from Rootless.
Yeah, too late, fortunately, being quite quick on that retreat, just falling back on that hard cover, utilizing that ridge. But let's see what is going to come through here, as Asado now needs to still secure themselves a decent position. You can see the rest of the team has already done that. So Ruthless, they've got their numbers up, but it's a very, very challenging terrain on the southern edge, as we can see. But once they get it secured, there could be some great potential just up ahead. Meanwhile, those altercations still starting to rack up in the elimination feed, and here we go, a little bit of that mine action. I think this is a good pit stop, at least for the time being, as the Sundor just helps overturn that vehicle. But up ahead, you can see that is where we'll find the players from Royal Academy, as well as the players then coming through from the side there of Active Gaming. So maybe a bit of an upset. Yep, Smoker gets taken on down as Gondia secures the head. The Sanhok could also now fall victim as we jump over to Repo.
Man, absolutely aggressive stuff going on at every single corner of the map right here, and that's exactly what you do expect from Miramar. But now the boys from EFX now turn the sights onto the boys from Apex as they do drop down one of the players. Are they going to be making a push onto this one, or just deciding to get themselves into that zone? We're curious to see what happens right there. But it does look like EFX is deciding to just turn away from the boys from Apex right there and continue to push further and further into that zone.
But speaking about the zone, I'm curious to see who's going to be moving into that western side, as we did see the zone moving in that exact same direction. There's a lot of vacancy currently held there, and it does seem the majority of the teams are prioritizing at least this Los Leones edge, the western edge of it, because there's a lot of hard cover to play from. But as we look down onto these warehouses, I mean, Rogue Daddy got a nice position secured. Snip also not too far away, so there's a lot of reaction that can come through from this current positioning that they're holding. But again, look just to the north of them. That's where we see the players there from the Cyclone Shield team as well. And I mean, they've not yet looked to capitalize on the opportunity available.
Yeah, absolutely. They're currently just being really quiet, not looking to get into any fights for now, and maybe explode at the right time. Cyclone Shield not been able to assert their dominance in the lobby so far, as they've been getting taken out quite early. We'll see if this is the game that does turn things around for them, as we do see the play zone also getting into the mix right there, as they do lose one of the players. Well, Apex does lose one of his players, Blessing, and quite a couple of knocks coming down for the boys from Apex, and they've lost two of their players and are currently now beginning to rotate towards that zone.
Yeah, there goes yet another one. Fireboy getting taken out of the match. Down to 19 players. We go 7 teams alive. The zone has shifted up, but this is looking absolutely glorious now for the side here of Invictus, as they've got all their numbers up. They've got a very decent positioning coming through in towards the zone. I mean, all numbers, sure. I mean, 3 by that. You can say exactly the same about the players coming through from the Cyclone Shield team, but it's all down to how the teams play their positioning. And EFX also now looking to move into the swing of things, and this could add even more pressure to an already challenging situation.
Yeah, absolutely. You can see that all of these teams are just edging quite closer and closer towards each other. EFX pulling up onto this region where CLS is currently situated, as well as the boys from Invictus, and they'll be looking to send on some shots that their way in their direction. There's also the team Rootless within the vicinity, and it's beginning to get really choked up. EFX sitting down with a 3-man squad. We're looking to see if they can continue to keep those numbers up, moving into those final zones of the circle.
Well, here we go now. It's a bit too late. Apologize as they move up a little bit further onwards, spotting out a bit of an opportunity onto the side there of Ruthless. But let's see whether or not Nabilo is going to be able to get any of that work done, as they do see also Asando just holding north of their current positioning. But the rush is in. It's going to be EFX now looking to close it up. They want their hands on as many elims as they can find, already sitting up to 5. But where are they going to look to stop? I mean, the Ruthless just playing so much on that edge, not going to be looking to give them an inch. Alright, so there we go. Nate's getting sent out as well. Oh, too late getting found. Blue Zone is going to be closing up, but where will it go now as Rogue Daddy just inching their way on through, just trying to sustain a decent amount of hiding positioning, as the zone has taken a shift all the way up north, playing favorably into the hands of the 03 brothers. Rogue Daddy on the ridge. Oh, look at this spray. That is 1 down, 2 more to go. Will we see Pyro make it out of that smoke in one piece? Rogue Daddy really trying to establish a good dominating play right here. Sends out a bit of utility. We're going to reach, not quite just yet, but they are of course receiving a little bit of a helping hand coming through EFX. Hunkering down, the vehicle goes boom, and that is the shots that needed to come through.
Yeah, absolutely amazing stuff coming in from Rogue Daddy right there. So he does get elimination, knocks after knocks. He does get one confirmation right there. He puts Pyro to the ground, and it does look like that confirmation is going to be coming through as well, as he does get that final elimination secured right there. You can see Rogue Daddy just getting those 4 eliminations in the bag for his team, as they do have currently 9 of those eliminations coming through right there. So great job coming in from from Rogue Daddy as he's reduced the numbers of the boys from EFX down to just the last player late who comes into this position late.
Yes, sir. And of course, a little bit of plugging coming in there as well. But speaking of plugging, there's a few holes that also need to get plugged up, as we can see too late, trying to come in with a buggy, almost secures the Elam, but is not going to stick around to try and close that one up. Instead, Rogue now jumps at the opportunity to maybe find a bit of a spray just on the ridge. Oh, there we go. That is ruthless, getting sent right out of here. And now is where the fracture really starts to boil over, because the Ultima Rage trying to play, but it's going to be Invictus riding that blue storm as they push on forward again, finding themselves gloriously left by that zonal positioning. But Daddy getting spotted out. There's no hard cover for Invictus to utilize, not a single inch.
Ooh, the boys from Invictus getting pounded by several different teams around them, especially the boys from O3 who are looking to get a spot within that zone. There's also UL as well, who are also in the mix of things around there. So Invictus might be able to get that revive, and it looks like they've done that. Daddy, the player who's been absolutely on fire throughout the games today for them, has been getting back up, and you can see that now the boys from Ultima are currently feeling the heat as the boys from O3 continue to send on the mollies and the nades towards their direction, as they have a couple of those players knocked down. But Riley's is continuing to keep his sight on the goal right there as he turns his eyes on the boys from Invictus, who currently have that spot within that zone. They do know that they need to push onto that position if they're going to somehow stay alive in this game.
Yeah, so Rill's now just got to find that next approach to take, and of course we know the answer to that. It is going to be head down south. That's the only answer. But this is a great opportunity for Invictus. Still, we got Kage holding on to that very southern edge, not yet secured within the zone, but they are going to be playing a serious game of hide and seek. Meanwhile, Rogue Daddy has been found. Down they go. It's now down to Snip and Most Wanted, but up comes a glorious opportunity as the O3 brothers now move in full force, and this is that opportunity for either team to secure the zone. Oh,
Amazing stuff coming in from the boys right there from O3 as they now turn the sights onto the last player. It's Kage who's trying to keep hopes alive in this particular game, but O3 brothers gathering those maximum points right there. You can see Griff is seen with this one with seven eliminations to his name, and altogether they do get 10 of those eliminations, and you can see that the team has gathered 20 points on this one. Sitting down in that second place is the boys from Apex again, grabbing some points to continue to boost themselves all the way up on that leaderboard, but the boys from O3 have continued to reduce that gap. You've also got to give it to the boys from Invictus as they do find themselves right there in that third place. But look at the amount of eliminations coming through from Sneap and Rogue Daddy as they do gather 13 points for their team. So great stuff coming through so far as we've seen so much action going down right here within the games, and we are currently back with some my face is frozen. I don't know what's going on, but anyways, we'll fix that after the game. DK was trying to freeze himself there to just be part of the party.
Yeah, but then I realized my backgrounds are moving, so that's not gonna work, Because I can always try the ventriloquist approach, but it doesn't really work that well. So yay.
Yeah, it's not gonna work.
I'm not that good at ventriloquism, but I mean, an exciting match. Some surprising results coming through. EFX also securing themselves those 5 elims. I mean, we had some heavy hitting blows. Afro also coming through with 5, and as you pointed out, Invictus just doubling down, going to town, securing themselves 13 elims. So another heavy hand being dealt. But of course, it's down to the next game, which is going to be over on towards Sanhok, where I think we're going to have an even spicier bit of action yet to come.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll take a quick break right now. When we're back, we'll take a look at the leaderboard and see what the action that has happened in this game does mean for that one. Who still remains on top? I do believe it's the boys from AFX, but my math might be wrong. We'll find out when we're right back. See you soon.
I'm not home. I wanna know, can we try trust us that's about to let us know how to go? We're in trances, going off to different places, different planets. Watch your aura pass me by, losing balance. What if we run out of time and second chances? Empty-handed. You like the fast life, you like to drive, get down and dirty, act like the bad guy. You want some love, me like when you feel it calling at midnight. You got the best of me, you got me losing sleep. I've been hopeful, baby, I was hoping maybe that you cross my path. I've been sinking lately, and it's hard to move. Think I'm stuck on you. We're in trances, going off to different places, different planets. Watch your aura pass me by, losing balance. What if we run out of time and second chances? Empty-handed. I wonder, would you love me better if I go? I'm not home. I wonder, can we trust the stars above to let us know how to go? We only got this life, no guarantees and stars align. Follow your passion trail and try to keep an open mind. Hiding it by myself, no guarantees you'll find me. Said if it's faith you'll find me, leaving the past behind. We're in trances, going off to different places, different planets. Watch your aura pass me by, losing balance. What if we run out of time and second chances? Empty-handed. I wonder, would you love me better if I go? I'm not home. I wanna know, can we trust the stars above to let us know how to go? We're in trances, going off to different places, different planets. Watch your aura pass me by, losing balance. What if we run out of time and second chances? Empty-handed. You like the fast life, you like to drive, get down and dirty, act like the bad guy. You want some love, me like when you feel it calling at midnight. You got the best of me, you got me losing sleep. I've been hopeful, baby, I was hoping maybe that you cross my path.
Okay, I mean, okay, it's so it's so what you're saying is
Going off to different places, different planets. Watch your aura pass me by, losing balance. What if we run out of time and second chances? Empty-handed. I wonder, would you love me better if I go? I'm not home. I wonder, can we trust the stars above to let us know how to go? We only got this life, no
nice.
guarantees you'll find me. Said if it's faith you'll find me, leaving the past behind. We're in trances, going off to different places, different planets. Watch your aura pass me by, losing balance. What if we run out of time and second chances? Empty-handed. I wonder, would you love me better trust the stars above to let us know how to go. Whoa. We're in trances, going off to different places, different planets. Watch your aura pass me by, losing balance. What if we run out of time and second chances? Empty-handed. You like the fast life, you like to drive, get down and dirty, act like the bad guy. You want some love, be like when you feel like caught in a midnight. You got the best of me, you got me losing sleep. I've been hopeful, baby, I was hoping maybe that you crossed my path. I've been sinking lately, and it's hard to move. Think I'm stuck on you. We're in trances, going off to different places, different planets. Watch your aura pass me by, losing balance. What if we run out of time and second chances? Empty-handed. I wonder, would you love me better if I go? I'm not home. I wonder, can we trust the stars above to let us know how to go? We only got this life, no guarantees and stars align. Follow your passion trail and try to keep an open mind. Hiding it by myself, no guarantees you'll find me. Said if it's faith you'll find me, leaving the past behind. We're in trances, going off to different places, different planets. Watch your aura pass me by, losing balance. What if we run out of time and second chances? Empty-handed. I wonder, would you love me better if I go? I'm not home. I wanna know, can we trust the stars above to let us know how to go? Whoa. We're in trances, going off to different places, different planets. Watch your aura pass me by, losing balance. What if we run out of time and second chances? Empty-handed. You like the fast life, you like to drive, get down and dirty, act like the bad guy. You want some love, be like when you feel like caught in a midnight. You got the best of me, you got me losing sleep. I've been hopeful, baby, I was hoping maybe that you crossed my trust the stars above to let us know how to go. We're in trances, going off to different places, different planets. Watch your aura pass me by, losing balance. What if we run out of time and second chances? Empty-handed. You like the fast life, you like to drive, get down and dirty, act like the bad guy. You want some love, be like when you feel it calling at midnight. You got the best of me, you got me losing sleep. I've been hopeful, baby, I was hoping maybe that you'd cross my path. I've been sinking lately, and it's hard to move. Think I'm stuck on you. We're in transits, going off to different places, different planets. Watch your aura pass me by, losing balance. What if we run out of time and second chances? Empty-handed. I wonder, would you love me better if I go? I'm not home. I wonder, can we trust the stars above to let us know how to go? We only got this life, no guarantees and stars align. Follow your passion trail and try to keep an open mind. Hiding it by myself, no guarantees you'll find me. Said if it's faith you'll find me, leaving the past behind. We're in trances, going off to different places, different planets. Watch your aura pass me by, losing balance. What if we run out of time and second chances? Empty-handed. I wonder, would you love me better if I go? I'm not home. I wanna know, can we trust the stars above to let us know how to go? We're in trances, going off to different places, different planets. Watch your aura pass me by, losing balance. What if we run out of time and second chances? Empty-handed. You like the fast life, you like to drive, get down and dirty, act like the bad guy. You want some love, be like when you feel it calling at midnight. You got the best of me, you got me losing sleep. I've been hopeful, baby, I was hoping maybe that you'd cross my path. I've been sinking lately, and it's hard to move. Think I'm stuck on you. We're in transits, going off to different places, different planets. Watch your aura pass me by, losing balance. What if we run out of time and second chances? Empty-handed. I wonder, would you love me better if I go? I'm not home.
All right, let's get back. All right, guys, so we're back with more action right here. It has been a really amazing day so far. As we've seen the boys from Apex and O3 Brothers just fighting and gearing for that maximum, moolah, $500 right there. The fight is between both of them. But before we get into the game right here, which the teams are currently, just gearing up to, let's take a look at the leaderboard and see, where it currently stands. All right, so taking a look at that leaderboard, you do see the boys from Team Apex still leading the charge, but the results right there are now beginning to edge get closer and closer as the boys from O3 Brothers do reduce that gap between them and Team Apex down to 13 points. All right, so let's hop into the game. It's right here as we do see on ground in Paradise Resorts. It is the boys from right there from EFX who are leading that charge. All the way in boot camp, you do see the boys from Active Gaming down to pretty much the last player once again, as they do come right next to the boys from Afro Esports, and they will get sent back into the lobby quite early. DK, they do this dance every Sanhok game where Afro and the boys from Active Gaming continue to hold these positions, and the ritual.
I mean, there's this word that you can go look up in the dictionary where it says, trying the same thing over and over but expecting a different outcome.
Madness.
Yeah. I'll just give the definition. I'm not necessarily going to use the words, but either which way, right? You know what I'm leaning towards. So I'd love to see them really look to change it up instead of being adamant at going at it. Go for a different location. I mean, there's a lot of open locations to choose from, looking at what we have at their disposal on this map, and well, yeah, we're gonna be down to down by one team. Also saying goodbye to a few of our players, 3 players down, and now it's all down to, well, I said down so many times here, but it's now gonna come to what the players will be bringing through in this next little bit of a push here. There's lots of stuff all over the place. I mean, Pubg has got 2 teams right up in the mix. That, of course, is going to be the players coming through from the Royal Academy. We've got players then holding up alongside them, which is the 21st Century, so we could have a little bit of action. Afro could also get challenged all the way in boot camp, as we did see the players from Ruthless moving ever closer. So there's a lot of points of interest now scattered throughout this match.
Yeah, absolutely. We might see something coming through. Just like you said, for the boys from Afro Esports, as they're pretty much just getting, circled around by the boys from Rootless right there. We might see the boys from Rootless decide to push on through into that position. I do envisage that they will be looking for that one bit of knock first of all before they do make that final decision to push on through into that position right there at boot camp. We'll continue to keep an eye on it as Pika and his boys will be waiting for that opportunity.
Well, let's see now, slowly inching their way up onto towards the boot camp hills. We know this could be a very, very exciting play, especially looking at the opportunity at hand here. But as we look down to the lovely Camp Charlie, we do see the players from Invictus and Fugitive getting into an altercation yet again. Also a little bit over onto that eastern side, we can see the players there from the 21st Century also picking up a few elims. So this is where I want to see what the Fugitives are going to be doing, right? Will we see that send for them looking to contest for the bridge? Or are they going to play it out in the open instead of moving forward into that hard coverage just ahead of them?
Yeah, absolutely. It does look like they're playing the breach right there as they do take down another player for Invictus, as Rogue Dad is the one who's currently being dropped down to the ground, and it looks like they've finally gotten that elimination as the boys from Fugitives are continuing on with the onslaught right there as the boy, I do believe it is Lanis who does get those bits of eliminations, currently sitting down with 2. That's a very interesting name, Lanis.
Yeah, especially if you missed the first letter. But that it is what it is, right? It could definitely bring in a bit of excitement with regards to us calling out names. And now, speaking about names, though, it's actually quieted down over on towards the lovely Sanhok. We do have a potential play coming through into Trifecta with Ultima Rage and the players from the side of Gen X. But yeah, we're not really seeing much else really developing at this point.
Yeah, exactly. Teams are just edging quite closer and closer towards that center. You can see them just waiting for that opportunity to get into different, skirmishes right there. Royal Academy and the boys from Fugitives are also, we've seen very similar vicinities, and I'm not sure that the boys from Fugitive Esports are quite aware of that position, but it does look like it is Arrow, the man who does spot one of the players for Royal Academy, and he drops him to the ground as they continue to send on them shots onto that position where Leica Boy is currently at. He's dropped one of the players. It is Lyra AD99MS who has decided to punish us with his name. Definitely. Who has gotten dropped down to the ground. And Leica Boy is putting up onto his location to see if he can get that revive coming through. And it does look like that may happen. But the boys from, Fugitive Esports are not known to allow situations like this go unpunished, as they will be, lurking around looking to push an inch quite closer. They do throw that molly, but it doesn't do the necessary damage to put them to the ground again.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, that molly is just sufficient enough to maybe roast a few marshmallows on or something like that. But let's see where this is going to go to, as it is Leica and Lyrad just holding strong, trying to see if they can maybe find a little bit of a fallback as they now get on to the move and venturing further onto the southeastern side. So that will allow for the fugitives to really get themselves onto a good position and, yeah, put up that do not disturb sign.
Yeah, absolutely. Sometimes it is. I find it quite strange how people within the community will call me when they know. Like, I know the person who's calling me knows that I'm on stream, and they're calling me. Like, the person knows. Like, there's no way this person does not know that I'm not streaming. Like, my goodness, are you calling me? Like, it's not like, if it's my mom now, I'll be like, okay, mom, what's up? Well, I mean,
Yeah.
go on. Like, this is not mom.
But that would be a first for me. I've never casted with someone that gets a call from their mom come through and then they take the call, right? So that would definitely be a first. Yeah, so I don't know if that's gonna be something to look forward to or whatever, but sure.
No,
right?
it's not.
Let's take it for what it is. But look at that slow. I mean, Arrow just trying to double down on the hits here.
Yeah, absolutely amazing start coming in for the boys right there from Fugitives, and they weren't able to get that confirmation onto the boys right there for Royal Academy, and they were able to escape the ops right there. But you can see that the shots being let loose right now, trying to take Lanis down, and it is the boys from Royal Academy still trying to put in their shots onto Fugitive Esports. But taking a look at the map, we're now seeing several different teams starting to converge right there around that circle. It is the boys from Gen X, Rootless, they're circling around those regions right around boot camp. And you also have EFX and the boys from Apex, just each inching quite closer and closer towards each other's vicinity.
Well, let's see where this one is going to go. Could this be a blessing or a curse now for the side of Apex? Trying to play a little bit more of a spread out position here. A very upfront angle. We can see at least two of the players. Well, this is a 3-1 split going through from the side of Apex. If we look on towards the side of EFX, though, they moving in, trying to hit markers all over the place. And it's going to be Carl that's going to be scouting out the opportunities, not finding any clear line of sight just yet. But it feels like Carl senses there's something nearby. Not quite sure where exactly, but it's like those Carl sensors are definitely starting to tingle.
Yeah, absolutely. Now we do see a fight coming down for the boys from MOB as they are setting on the shots onto that position where Freak and his boys from Gen X are currently situated at. It does look like they've dropped one of the players. It is Freak who's currently gone down. MOB is continuing to, just laser them shots all the way down from the other side of the island right down to that position. And it is Creed and his boys who are looking to see if they can get that extra bit of elimination. Freak is currently still rocking the ground. The Boogeyman's trying to get those revives coming through, but can they do that just in time before the boys from MOB pull up onto this location?
Well, we don't know. The mob just waiting in the wind. Right. Men of Blood just waiting steady with Creed now trying to pop off a few hits. I think this is a good play coming through from mob because they're not really allowing themselves to get Vincent in that position, so still having quite a bit of mobility, having to play around there, especially now that it's up onto the northern side of the zone. I think it's going to be quite important for them to try and ensure that they've got a good, decent amount of movement out of that position. But as we look onto the players here from Gen X, I mean, they're definitely trying to sneak their way in, trying to get a bit of a bounce up on towards Afro. From what we've seen so far, Afro, I mean, they jacked up, right? They're ready to go, and you can throw whatever you want at them, and they're going to try and give a good respective answer to that.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, Peachy's sort of in a very, very sticky situation as the boys from Rootless are sending on shots onto his direction while he's trying to watch out for the boys from UGX wanting to pull up onto this location right here in boot camp. There are 4 players right there in front of him, so he does need the support of his teammates. What I do envisage happening is that he might be able to take down at least one of the players from UGX, but the return fire might put him to the ground, and that would allow the rest of the players from UGX to pull up on his location and gun him down. So Afro do need at least 2 players watching this vicinity.
Yeah, they need to keep their heads on a swivel. But let's see whether or not Peachy will add a little bit of spice into the mix here. Boogeyman just trying to get a good lay of the land. You know, there's no wall too high for Boogeyman. Just flex a little bit, get a little bit of a jump going here to be able to see one is cooking all over the place. But meanwhile, we do see the team still continue to converge, looking to further their position in towards the zone. The 03 brothers, of course, securing themselves up in towards By None. They could have a little bit of a tussle coming through at the expense of the fugitives, or maybe it could be the other way around. But then I'm also curious about that eastern side, which we just saw the players looking to have a bit of a stand in. It is going to be the players there from the 21st century, and they're going to be meeting up with a squad from the Royal Academy. So again, a lot of these very contentious positions coming through.
Yeah, absolutely. 21st Century and Royal Academy, you know, be looking to see if they can get those extra bit of eliminations to boost themselves all the way up on that leaderboard, grab those extra points that are very necessary to, you know, fight toe-to-toe against guys like 03 Brothers and the boys from Apex. Now you can see that the boys from Royal Academy are currently situated within those buildings right there. You know, they're just camping out things for now, you know, just taking quite a bit of a nap, you know, as they have been, you know, running for quite a while. We'll see if when they do decide to start to travel again, the boys from 21st Century might cause a lot of trouble for them.
Well, let's see whether or not that is going to come to fruition. A nice little bit of waiting coming through here from Rio. Not going to be looking to overextend just yet. Trying to get themselves into position. But I think this is definitely where 999 is going to pose the biggest threat to Rio's success here. Whether or not they're going to be able to get that. But of course, Rio now looks to settle that as they move on to the opposite end of that boulder. But also at the same time, it does limit their line of sight, their visibility, just ever so slightly.
Yeah, absolutely, but we also see some action beginning to happen right there within the center of the map as the boys from Apex are getting pushed on by the boys from UGX, the boys from Gen X right there as they are looking to see if they can grab that spot. They do know and are quite aware that they've got to make this one happen as they are, you know, trying to get in on the action right there. Hunter gets dropped down to the ground. Punk goes down quite in quick succession and it's just left with Swag to somehow hold on to their life. The boys from Afro Esports have been holding this position for quite a while, but we spoke about it earlier on that they somehow have to keep the boys from UGX at bay from making their push onto this location if they do want to hold on to this one.
Oh, nice play. Swag not giving up just yet. Gonna be keeping the pressure on. Oh, tries to gatekeep them. Finds yet another. Comes in for the trade. Gets the clutch and off they go. That is why Swags is called Swags, because they did it in style. A 1v everyone else.
Oh my goodness, some amazing work coming in from Swags right there as he put up a 1v4 coming up against the Team Gen X and showed them why his name is Swag. He did it quite in amazing fashion right there as he played the advantage and made sure that they were sent backpacking into the lobby. That was some amazing, you know, close quarters, and he will be crowned the chief of CQC.
Yeah, the Swag chief, right? If not, why not? And, well, they managed to hold on to boot camp just for a little while longer. Meanwhile, things are definitely starting to get pretty hot and spicy as we look over on towards that northeastern side with EFX looking to just uphold a little bit of that pressure. We've got the players from Mob ahead of them. If we look over here onto the Royal Academy, it's down to Smoker, but up comes the 21st Century knocking on the door. Again, we see that very doorway play, and unfortunately, it doesn't really pan out exactly the same way.
Man, absolutely amazing stuff coming right there from the boys from 21 Centuries. They do get themselves those extra bits of eliminations. But talking about eliminations, we now turn our sights onto the boys from EFX, who are now sending on the shots onto the boys from MOB. They have Rage currently dropped down to the ground, and MOB are currently left in this one with a two-man squad. But the boy Shaq is having none of it, as he currently does put in the work right there onto Reverb and drops him down right there. The boys from EFX can still continue the onslaught, as Carl is currently still leading the charge, as he might be able to get some shots sent through onto the boys from MOB.
Yeah, but this is a great gatekeep opportunity coming through now. Let's see whether or not Carl can pull this one out of the bag. 11. Oh, getting those hits, connecting through. Carl having to just backpedal ever so slightly. But this is where I want to see Carl now just fall back into the safety of the zone, not spend too much time out in the blue. So it's going to be a very tedious play to make, as we know players from Men of Blood, they've got their eyes, their scopes just dialed into Carl's position.
Yeah, they're trying the best possible to see if they can get that extra bit of eliminations, but you can see them losing one of the players right there as a third party coming through from the boys from CLS. As Danny Brown is the man who will drop one of the players, as Creep does get sent backpacking into the lobby with the elimination confirmed, and it's just 11 and Shark left in this position as they're being gatekept by not just EFX, but also the boys from CLS.
Yep, that is going to be quite the difficult one to get themselves out of, but Carl not going to be giving it up just yet. I mean, Pyro too late, definitely could bring in a bit of a helping hand, bring in that cover fire, but surprising to see that Carl has not really taken that plunge, right? Not really making a push to get themselves out of that sticky spot. Meanwhile, it's going to be the squad here from Cyclone Shield, just advancing their way towards that zone. Down south is where we see a little bit more of the altercation action being brought in as the O3 brothers look to defend, but it is going to be the players from Habitual now contesting them for a bit of ground here.
Yeah, Habitual and the boys from O3 brothers just along those edges, continuing on to, send the shots towards each other. It is one player from the boys from O3 that has been taking the Habitual, trying as much as possible to see if they can get out of that position, and pretty much just gatekeep the boys from O3.
Let's see if they're going to be able to get the job done though. It's going to be Habitual. Oh, now starting to lose a few players, but it's not all downhill just yet. You can see Shad just inching their way up, trying to maybe find a bit of a vantage point to play from. But this is where I want to see Habitual, instead of trying to gatekeep while rushing forward with the blue zone, rotate into the zone and then bring in that gatekeep. Meanwhile, the O3 brothers, they're not going to waste any time. They're now just going to play their hand and maybe sneak in between the 21st century and potentially even the players coming through from the fugitives.
Yeah, absolutely. They have a couple of players around them, so we'll be curious to see if they do get taken down right here, or the shots are going to be coming through, and you can see they do lose one more buddies, and several different teams are currently around this vicinity. He does land around this region where both Apex and the boys from Fugitives are currently at, and that knock, definitely, as we did expect, does come through once again.
Well, let's see where this one goes. A lot of those casualties and knocks now finding their way in. It's going to be Danny Brown down for the count. Stoner trying to ride this ridge out. I mean, just again, finding themselves on the edge could be a great opportunity to rake in a few more of those eliminations. The same can be said here by Pharaoh as we look all the way down on that southern edge. But 21st now having to, again, try and cover all their bases, while still having to play for that zonal positioning.
Yeah, 21 pretty much, at that edge right there. They will definitely be looking to get themselves into a favorable position within that zone. They do have 5 of those eliminations that have come through, and they're looking quite good right here. All they need to do now is push all the way towards those positions. But right in front of them, you do have the boys from Ultimate Rage, who might cause them some problems, as well as the boys from Fugitive Esports, who are really quite close to them. So we'll continue to see, what that means for all of these teams as they continue to, push in. But taking a look at the zone, you can see it is shifting towards that region around Bootcamp, and the boys from 21 have now found themselves right next to the boys from Afro.
Yeah, not only Afro, we also have Ultima Rage just hanging in the wing here. Now comes that pressure play. All the teams having to push off of that high ground. Ace also quickly the reposition, trying to get themselves just ahead of that blue zone, but it is going to be absolutely relentless as just that little shuffle already took quite a bit of a chunk out of their HP bar. Let's see where this one will go. Ultima holding strong. Still sitting with a decent count for their players here. Will that be sufficient though to secure themselves a potential winner chicken dinner? Apex also still sitting on 4, but they are all the way out close to the edge. And now they're going to be looking to light it up. As you can see, Moon coming through with a few hits. Kage, Fireboy, and Blessin also trying to close that gap now.
And the boys from Apex continuing to send on them shots onto several different teams around them. They're putting in the work onto not just 21, but also the boys from Fugitives are trying to reduce the number. But Apex currently sitting down with 4 players or continue on with the onslaught. They've got 4 eliminations to their name as Moonlight and the boys continue on with the onslaught. But now they are beginning to feel the heat of their own as the boys from Afro and Fugitives are sending on the shots their direction. It is one of the players, Moonlight, who gets dropped down to the ground, and it might just look like he will be getting thirsted right there as the play zone is coming, and we do know how the play zone is with clutches. It never misses.
Yep. Ooh, blue zone being quite devastating to the side of Apex. Down to Blessin and Kage we go. Not quite sure whether Kage is going to try and make a run for it. There's going to be a lot of pressure coming in. That is Arrow getting quivered on down. Now, 21st Century still holding on to a 2-piece. We got Ace and Baby securely positioned up in towards old Booty Camp. But now they got to move out because the zone has shifted east over to that warehouse. And no one has taken up occupation on that position. But Ultima Rage still looking to play their numbers advantage.
Yeah, Ultimate Rage in a group position within that zone. And we'll be looking to see if they can seal this game through. They've not had the best of games today, but now is the time where they might be able to seal this one. They're coming up against just 2 players within this vicinity from 21st Century, and also 2 players for the boys from Afro Esports. Afro started up in boot camp, and the zone's pretty much come to this region for them again. And they might somehow be making this work. But now we're beginning to see the shots fly from, the boys from 21. It is the boys from 21 who are fighting it out right here within this ditch. It is Ace. They're trying to see if he can get the shots connecting through. And DK, how do you think this one's going to go?
I would be quite surprised if Ultima Rage did not take this one. They still have the numbers advantage. They've got everything to leverage in their favor. And Ace also now struggling to get over that wall does open up a great can of worms as we can see the shots connecting up, and that is it. Now it is going to be up to Tacos to try and find that last little bit of a push here. I almost said GTA cars because why not, right? Either which way. It's going to be Phantom and the rest of Ultima Rage now. Just having to hold on. It's only 2 players standing between them and that winner chicken dinner.
Oh, absolutely amazing stuff coming in from the boys from Ultima Rage as they do get themselves to winner chicken dinner and those maximum points in this game. They currently got themselves those 9 bit of eliminations. But sitting down in second place is the boys from Afro Esports, who did get 7 of those eliminations on that second place. And Afro has not had quite the first few games so far within the within the Fire Easter Hunt, but they've been able to gather those points in this game right now. We'll see if they can continue with those same performances in the final game of the night as we move all through back into Sanhok. And I'm coming in with the freeze again. Coming in with the lovely freeze is our dear Elgato.
Well, then it's actually quite a good thing that you came in with a jacket on, right? To ensure that when you freeze, it's not too bad. So you'll make it. You'll survive at the end of the day. And yeah, speaking about the end of the day, there's only one more match to go for today. So I think it's going to be quite exciting as we get our butts back over in towards Erangel to see what the bread and butter of Pubg is going to bring through. But I got to say, Sanhok, very, very satisfying. A lot of aggression being dealt, and the teams really capitalizing what the zone allows them to do, with this map rather allows them to do, right? Just get up and close and personal, and also quite a bit aggressive.
Yeah, we'll see what happens when we do come back, as well as check out the leaderboard right there. So do make sure you hit that like and hit that subscribe. And we'll be right back for some more action as we do take a quick break now. See you soon.
Your passion trail and try to keep an open mind. Hiding by myself. No guarantees you'll find me. Said if it's faith, you'll find me. Leaving the past behind. We're in places, going off to different places, different planets. Watch your aura pass me by, losing balance. What if we run out of time and second chances? Empty-handed. I wonder, would you love me better if I go? I'm not home. I wanna know. Can we trust the stars above to let us know? I'd go. Whoa. We're in trances, going off to different places, different planets. Watch your aura pass me by, losing balance. What if we run out of time and second chances? Empty-handed. You like the fast life, you like to drive and get down and dirty, act like the bad guy. You want some love, be like when you feel like calling at midnight. You got the best of me, you got me losing sleep. I've been hopeful, baby, I was hoping maybe that you crossed my path. I've been sinking lately, and it's hard to move. Think I'm stuck on you. We're in trances, going off to different places, different planets. Watch your aura pass me by, losing balance. What if we run out of time and second chances? Empty-handed. I wonder, would you love me better if I go? I'm not home. I wonder, can we trust the stars above to let us know? I'd go. We only got this life, no guarantees and stars align. Follow your passion trail and try to keep an open mind. Hiding by myself, no guarantees you'll find me. Said if it's faith, you'll find me. Leaving the past behind. We're in places, going off to different places, different planets. Watch your aura pass me by, losing balance. What if we run out of time and second chances? Empty-handed. I wonder, would you love me better if I go? I'm not home. I wanna know. Can we trust the stars above to let us know? I'd go. Whoa. We're in trances, going off to different places, different planets. Watch your aura pass me by, losing balance. What if we run out of time and second chances? Empty-handed. You like the fast life, you like to drive and get down and dirty, act like the bad guy. You want some love, be like when you feel like calling at midnight. You got the best of me, you got me losing sleep. I've been hopeful, baby, I was hoping maybe that you crossed my path. Would you love me better if I go? I'm not home. I wanna know. Can we trust the stars above to let us know? I'd go. Whoa. We're in trances, going off to different places, different planets. Watch your aura pass me by, losing balance. What if we run out of time and second chances? Empty-handed. You like the fast life, you like to drive, get down and dirty, act like the bad guy. You want some love, be like when you feel it calling at midnight. You got the best of me, you got me losing sleep. I've been hopeful, baby, I was hoping maybe that you cross my path. I've been sinking lately, and it's hard to move. Think I'm stuck on you. We're in transits, going off to different places, different planets. Watch your aura pass me by, losing balance. What if we run out of time and second chances? Empty-handed. I wonder, would you love me better if I go? I'm not home. I wonder, can we trust the stars above to let us know? I'd go. We only got this life, no guarantees. The stars align. Follow your passion trail and try to keep an open mind. Hiding it by myself, no guarantees you'll find me. Said if it's faith you'll find me, leaving the past behind. We're in trances, going off to different places, different planets. Watch your aura pass me by, losing balance. What if we run out of time and second chances? Empty-handed. I wonder, would you love me better if I go? I'm not home. I wanna know. Can we trust the stars above to let us know? I'd go. Whoa. We're in trances, going off to different places, different planets. Watch your aura pass me by, losing balance. What if we run out of time and second chances? Empty-handed. You like the fast life, you like to drive, get down and dirty, act like the bad guy. You want some love, be like when you feel it calling at midnight. You got the best of me, you got me losing sleep. I've been hopeful, baby, I was hoping maybe that you cross my path. I've been sinking lately, and it's hard to move. Think I'm stuck on you. We're in transits, going off to different places, different planets. Watch your aura pass me by, losing balance. What if we run out of time and second chances? Empty-handed. I wonder, would you the stars above to let us know how to go. Whoa. We're in trances, going off to different places, different planets. Watch your aura pass me by, losing balance. What if we run out of time and second chances? Empty-handed. You like the fast life, you like to drive, get down and dirty, act like the bad guy. You want some love, be like when you feel like calling at midnight. You got the best of me, you got me losing sleep. I've been hopeful, baby, I was hoping maybe that you cross my path. I've been sinking lately, and it's hard to move. Think I'm stuck on you. We're in transits, going off to different places, different planets. Watch your aura pass me by, losing balance. What if we run out of time and second chances? Empty-handed. I wonder, would you love me better if I go? I'm not home. I wonder, can we trust the stars above to let us know how to go? We only got this life, no guarantees. The stars align, follow your passion trail, and try to keep an open mind, hiding it by myself. No guarantees you'll find me. Said if it's faith you'll find me, leaving the past behind. We're in trances, going off to different places, different planets. Watch your aura pass me by, losing balance. What if we run out of time and second chances? Empty-handed. I wonder, would you love me better if I go? I'm not home. I wanna know, can we trust the stars above to let us know how to go? Whoa. We're in trances, going off to different places, different planets. Watch your aura pass me by, losing balance. What if we run out of time and second chances? Empty-handed. You like the fast life, you like to drive, get down and dirty, act like the bad guy. You want some love, be like when you feel like calling at midnight. You got the best of me, you got me losing sleep. I've been hopeful, baby, I was hoping maybe that you cross my path. love me better if I go? I'm not home. I wanna know. Can we trust the stars above to let us know? I'd go. Whoa. We're in trances, going off to different places, different planets. Watch your aura pass me by, losing balance. What if we run out of time and second chances? Empty-handed. You like the fast life, you like to drive, get down dirt, you act like the bad guy. You want some love, you like when you feel like calling at midnight. You got the best of me, you got me losing sleep. I've been hopeful, baby, I was hoping maybe that you crossed my path. I've been sinking lately, and it's hard to move. Think I'm stuck on you. We're in transits, going off to different places, different planets. Watch your aura pass me by, losing balance. What if we run out of time and second chances? Empty-handed. I wonder, would you love me better if I go? I'm not home. I wonder, can we trust the stars above to let us know? I'd go. We only got this life, no guarantees and stars align. Follow your passion trail and try to keep an open mind. Hiding it by myself, no guarantees you'll find me. Said if it's faith you'll find me, leaving the past behind. We're in trances, going off to different places, different planets. Watch your aura pass me by, losing balance. What if we run out of time and second chances? Empty-handed. I wonder, would you love me better if I go? I'm not home. I wanna know. Can we trust the stars above to let us know? I'd go. Whoa.
Later on, what's up, beautiful people? How y'all doing? We're back for some more action. We're going into our final game of the night. If you've not watched or seen, who is on top of the leaderboard, I'm just gonna quickly pop onto that leaderboard. I'm still here with my man DK. So DK, tell us what you think about this one.
No, I was saying I'm at the top of the leaderboard, but either which way, it's going to be Team Apex sitting there with a glorious lead. Of course, 19 points right there under their belt. So the O3 brothers keeping it contentious, as we can see, 77 points. 67 as we move down, and EFX also hard on their heels. So we are seeing a little bit of a breakout coming through from our top 4 teams, but the heat is going to be on to see who will be able to secure that. And maybe, can the 3 brothers then close the gap? I mean, the gap that they need to close, 19 points, that's one good match. That's it. Then they're on par. That's all they need. But whether or not that is going to be the case, well, we don't know. We'll have to find out.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll see in a short moment's time what happens on this match right here. But sitting down in Primax, we do have 2 guys. It is CLS and the boys from Invictus. And it's Invictus who has now crashed onto this particular region, because this is not where the drop spot usually is. So they've changed the drop spot, landed on the boys from CLS. I'm not sure what's going on, whether that's on purpose or they just decided to try new things.
Well, we'll find out soon enough, as Rogue Baby keeping a very steady angle. Old Danny Brown there could come rushing around the corner, looking for a bit of an opportunity maybe to come on through. He's gonna go, sending out a few utilities. Rogue not trying to kickstart the action, but is the opportunity there? I mean, both teams holding a good angle, looking at what we've got coming through from the players of, well, the Cyclone Shields. I mean, they've got a good spread. they could actually potentially even encircle Invictus. So either side needs to be a little bit cautious as to how they take this.
Yeah, absolutely. You can see the boys right there from Invictus getting one knock onto CLS, and it is Manny who is currently being dropped down right there. As the boys from CLS will be looking to see if they can get that revive, but Manny is in a very sticky situation. He's in a position that will make it quite difficult for them to get that revive up, and Rogue Dad is currently watching that vicinity, so he might make it, very difficult for them. But now Stoner is currently coming into the mix right there as he is trying to see if he can join them nades to get Rogue Daddy taken down. And both of them are just waiting for that next opportunity to put down another body.
Well, let's see. Maybe Stoner could get the job done. It's a little bit of a standoff that we've got now coming in through between either of these teams. I mean, I want to see the rush. I want to see the push. Who's going to make the action happen here? Well, it is going to be Rogue Daddy now getting that secured elimination over on towards Manny. So that is 1 down, 3 more to go. Victor trying to prep it up for the push. They do secure the head on towards yet another player. So there's only 2 that remains. But where will it go? As we can see Stoner and Roach just holding on for dear life.
Stoner and Roach are the 2 players left in this one, as Stoner is currently, getting down to pretty much what is 0.5 HP right here. He's fighting for their life in that one, as Roach does get to watch his guy get dropped down to the ground, and it's pretty much just going to try as much as possible to escape the ups right here. But no, they will not be having that, as Moles does take him down to the ground. And it's Rogue Daddy again getting 2 of those eliminations and put in the work in this game. Lovely stuff coming in for the boys from Invictus, as they started off this game quite well and continue to climb up that leaderboard.
Yep. Good run. The sky is the limit. Well, that or maybe the blue zone. We don't know just yet. We'll see where it goes. But if we look at that zonal possession, it's going to be the players from EFX sitting quite pretty and comfortable all the way up in towards that Yasnaya Poliana position. Down towards farm is where we could see the Men of Blood and potentially a bit of that habitual action coming through. Afro also now starting to get themselves mobilized. Because the team from Ultima Rage rather on the move, and this is right here towards Malta, so both of them, Afro and Ultima, could maybe start bumping a few heads.
Yeah, they're just inching quite closer and closer to each other's position. Remember that the boys from Afro do love to take on several different fights quite early on, but they're coming into the game with a 3-man squad that have got to be really careful. But the man Peachy right there is always looking to get himself into several different skirmishes. You can see him just edging closer and closer towards that position where Tacos is currently at. Hunter is leading that charge as he does get into that vicinity, and he's got to be careful because his man's nade may even do him some damage. But now he's reduced Tacos to pretty much what is a 1 HP, and Tacos might get dropped down in this position. You can see Hunter moving into that location, and boom, down goes Tacos as he does get put to the ground by Peachy. And the rest of the players for Ultra 7 are now putting up onto this location, looking to see if they can get into the fights right there. The confirmation coming through. And can Moon provide the support that is necessary in this one, as they do Peachy some damage. But now Peachy will get put down to the ground, and Decay, this one is looking quite tough for the boys from Afro as they're down to just 2 players.
Well, let's see. Maybe they can still bounce back from this one. There's going to be a little bit of pressure. Ultima Rage is on the edge, waiting patiently for that opportunity to strike. Maybe it could be Slay to find the end of Afro. We'll see how this one then plays out. Ultima still just playing the ridges, holding those high ground positionings, trying to reach in with the utilities. Off goes the hit there from Moon. Is it going to find anything? Yes, it does find Peachy. And now it's going to be a Hunter in a world of trouble, as this is Ultima Rage now with a full onset, pushing forward. Bunk getting spotted on the outskirts. Down they go, and that is the end of the road. Afro just getting swiped off of this map.
And the boys from Ultimate Race being able to defend the position, but they lost one of the players that is tackles who was sent back into the lobby. But those eliminations are obviously going to count for them as they do have 3 of those. And I'm curious to see if they can continue to, just rack up those points all the way up on that leaderboard. We'll take a look now and see where all of these teams are currently situated as we're seeing that zone move all the way towards that northeastern region. The boys from Active Gaming sitting down all the way around that region, around Mill to Power. It is Habitual sitting down in Mansion with EFX holding that position. Yes, Naya. The boys from Real Academy also around Rosehawk regions. And we also do see Fugitive Esports lining up around that edge just outside of Pochinki. So several different teams now be looking to start to make the rotations into that zone. We might see an altercation coming through between the boys from Gen X and the boys from Fugitive Esports. So we'll continue to keep an eye and see how that one does play out.
Yeah, let's see where it goes. Meanwhile, as we move a little bit further afield, you can see it is going to be Pauline now, just trying to bring in a little bit of that jumpity jump action here. They still have a little bit of a way to go. Not the easiest place to play from, but they're going to try and make the boys out of the situation. Meanwhile, you can see Lannis also just keeping a very watchful eye on the train, waiting to see what the players there from the side of Gen X are going to be doing, whether or not they can maybe sneak their way on through. As you can see up on the minimap, Gen X about to bounce, and this could be Lannis now in a world of trouble.
Yeah, absolutely. Lannis might be getting into some trouble right there. You can see the shots beginning to let loose. They drop him down to the ground, and his legs coming in with the clutch right there. So he does put him down to the ground and get that confirmation. The boys from Fugitive Esports getting pretty much surprised in that position right there. And Links continuing on with the onslaught. The boys from Fugitives trying to see if they can get their revenge. Remember, Fugitive is not one of those teams to back down from a fight. Though they've lost one of the players, they still believe they can do this. And Shake right there getting surrounded by several different teams. And it's just going to try as much as possible to just get away from that position from the ops. And, just get a corner on them to see if he can, put in the shots and put at least 1 or 2 of those players down to the ground.
Well, the heat, the pressure is going to be on, as you can see Shake now just trying to just fend them off. But this is a great lineup coming through there from the side of Gen X. I love that approach that they are taking. They found Pauline. They could maybe find Shake now as well. Up comes the shots, and this is Shake now. Just trying to, well, maybe shake a bit of that lead off, as they've taken quite a few hits here. Now, moving over towards Pauline, it is going to be Arrow that is now tasked with keeping the team alive for the time being.
Shake doing his very best to keep them alive in this game as he does fend up the shots coming in from the boys from Gen X right there. And now he can try to see if he does get that revive onto his teammate Pauline. But can he do that in time, as the boys from UJX will be trying to inch quite closer and closer to get that confirmation coming through. And you see the shots just flying towards that vicinity. But Arrow is somehow still sending on those shots to keep their hopes alive. But Lynx is being a thorn in their side, and you can see him getting those eliminations now coming through as he does put another player get down into the ground, and the rest of his teammates are inching quite closer, and it's just left with Arrow to somehow find it out in himself to keep them alive in this one. And DK, can Arrow somehow do this? Do you think he can do this? Do you think he can somehow keep his team alive, get that revive? You can see him popping up them smokes. Will that happen as the confirmations are coming through?
I mean, the opportunity is there, but it's going to take a lot of luck on the side here of Arrow. It is going to be a 1v3. Will they be able to survive the pressure? We don't know, but it's going to be Freak now looking to contest as they move on forward. First one coming on to knock on the door. Arrow could be in a world of trouble, and this is going to be a super tight 1v4 if they manage to survive it.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll see how this one does manage to pan out as the boy right there, Arrow, is currently getting circled. And definitely Molly's and Nays will be getting sent into his position. He's got to find a way to evade them. Or he's currently now waiting for that opportunity to defend his position and keep the hopes of his team alive. You can see Captain is currently holding that position up on that hill. He's sending the shots onto that position, but somehow he cannot keep them alive. I mean, we saw, Afro Esports defend a similar position in the previous game, but he wasn't able to pull off that same style as they would get sent backpacking into the lobby. And the boys right there from Gen X holding a couple of kills to themselves. It is Lynx and Legend who do get 2 kills each to grab his team 4 eliminations.
Yeah, I can maybe say that's a little bit of that LOL coming in there. But now as we move on, it is going to be 21st Century about to push up onto Potato Hill. Meanwhile, Habitual in a bit of a standoff. EFX on the opposite end. Both teams having a bit of a fair exchange because he knocks on either side. But it's going to be the 3-piece from Habitual up against the 4 players moving in. And look at that. Real trying to pop or finds the first. Pyro now going to come rushing on in, trying to see if they can find the extra little bit of an elim, and they do succeed. And this is where everything now just gets turned on its head.
Oh, the boys from Afro Esports now down to the last guys, just Psycho, who is keeping them alive in this game. Is he going to get another dodge right here? It does look like that is his plan, to somehow find a way to evacuate this position, as the boys from AFX will be leading that fight right there. And they got themselves 3 eliminations. They're looking for the last guy to see if they can take him out of the game. But my goodness, what a gameplay coming in for the boys from AFX. They've been impressive today. They haven't managed to quite seal games through the DK, but somehow they have just been putting the scores on the leaderboard. Maybe this might be the game that they grab those maximum points, but regardless, it might work out well for them in the next few days.
Yeah, it definitely could. So let's see how this one is going to unfold. Pyro just quickly moving themselves ever slightly closer. Not going to be looking to make any major moves just yet, but Habitual hanging in the wing. Psycho, oh, finds the hit. That is going to be Carl, who has the ticket punch. No, is that the opportunity, that bounce back play? Up comes Psycho. Grenade out it goes. Slowly on the opposite end. Could receive a few of the hits, but they are getting flanked. And this is a very tough play. We got Ultima Rage, we got EFX, Spyro just slamming that door shut in Psycho's face. So this is the opportunity now for a team like, Ultima Rage to get that third-party play onto its EFX.
Absolutely amazing stuff coming in from Psycho. He did make it quite difficult for the boys from AFX to get that final confirmation onto him, as he kept on doing the damage onto them. But now the third party shots can begin to come through onto that region. But speaking about shots coming through, there's still some action going down in other regions. I do believe it's the boys from UGX and 21 Century who are also getting into the mix right there, as the boys from UGX continue to send on the shots onto that position.
Come on, Legend could maybe find that play. 21st Century now rushing up the hill. It's Pharaoh trying to duck those hits this way and that, but instead they're going to be losing even more health just on the edge of getting knocked on down. Rio does fall in the meanwhile. Blessin waiting on the opposite end, now starting to disengage from Potato Hill, but let's see whether or not Pharaoh can find themselves in some good standing, because the heat is on, but they are so separated from the rest of their team. Alright, so here goes Fireboy, looking to bring in a bit of a play. Apex fighting on their edge. Tokyo waiting up ahead. Could this be the end there? Tokyo trying to see what they can do. Fireboy steps up, down they go. Easy claps coming in as the Royal Academy reduced by yet another player. Now, Apex trying to pick it back up. You can see Royal Academy flying on forward. 21st Century. Pharaoh still alive, managing to hold on. It is going to be this one next. Oh, Invictus rushing in now for their third party opportunity. Down goes Fireboy. Invictus adding to the tally, and Royal Academy having the opportunity now to disengage and maybe get themselves into a little bit of a safer position.
Wow, how many times did you see the boys from Apex getting taken out quite early on right there? But they did manage to get themselves 2 eliminations before they got sent packing into the lobby. But the boys from Invictus, we spoke about them before earlier on in this game. Can this game be that one that finally puts them all the way up on that leaderboard? They have been a revelation throughout the entire tournament, and they're one of those teams that finds a way to spark on, one of those games, get those maximum eliminations. And we're seeing them beginning to rack up those points right here. So we're curious to see if this is finally the game that does give them, those extra push up on that leaderboard. They currently do have 5 kills to the name, and we'll see if Daddy can continue to get those kills.
Yeah, I mean, Rogue has not found a single elim just yet, but there's still a plethora of players to choose from as they now just come plunging into the zone. Meanwhile, players here from the Men of Blood waiting on the edge. Ooh, this is a risky play. Ruthless, as we saw, right? Really staying true to their name not too long ago. And this could be a bit of that contingency going through, right? That continuation of the pressure as Asado holding on the edge, trying to peer into the side there of Men of Blood, but not finding successful angle. Instead, both teams getting slightly distracted. We know that blue zone is going to start moving in within the next 30 seconds or so. So whichever way they play this, they need to conclude this fight and then move back into safety.
Oh, Creed pretty much getting third-parted right there as his HP does get sent back down to pretty much just 1 HP as he was trying to send on the nade onto that position where Asado was currently situated at. And Men of Blood and the boys from Ruthless both in a very sticky situation because not only do they find themselves in a position right here where it's pretty difficult for them to rotate out of, but it's also the boys from Active Gaming currently just lurking around looking to see if they can get one knock or two down to any of these teams in this position, DK.
Well, the pressure is going to be on. Let's see if that is going to be on the board. But it's going to be such a tight play to secure. I like what Active is doing, though. There's 2 players in the zone, 1 on the outside, trying to keep their options open here. Not going to be looking to close that one in just yet. They know. Players here from Ruthless and the Men of Blood, they have to rotate back. The only way is going to be moving in on that line of sight, and already there we have it. It's going to be Creed now getting taken on down as Nabilo locks it in. 1 down, 2 more to go. Let's see whether or not Shaq and 11 are going to be able to pick up the pieces as the Sanhok now comes rushing forward.
Look at this move coming on through right here as Asado and his team are pulling up onto that position where the last player, and it's 11 for MOB, who does get taken out in that moment. Pretty difficult push coming through from the boys from MOB right there, but great stuff from the boys from Ruthless right there. But they do also have the boys from Active Gaming just on that edge while they are trying to get into that zone. Will it be a difficult one for them as they do start to make the rotations? Can they evade the sides or that line from Active Gaming, or will they lose 1 or 2 of their players?
Well, there's only one way to find out, right? We're going to stick around and see how this unravels. Meanwhile, ooh, I think it's going to be Ruthless now still inching the one forward. This could be a glorious strat coming through here from Asado as they wrap around, just strengthening the angles, the opportunity onto the side here of Active. But actually, Nabilo not rotating too far up, instead just moving into Shack. Yeah, they're also quite some distance away from zone. I mean, 600 plus meters. I'm not quite sure whether or not this is going to be a successful execution coming through from their side, but yeah, maybe go to the zone.
Yeah, absolutely. Always prioritize getting yourself into the zone and fighting from there. That is my, preferred alternative. But here comes the boys from 21. They might be getting into an altercation right there, but you do see the boys from 21 are fully focused on what the mission is and just rotating away from that position and do not stop to take on the fight. Everyone is now just edging closer and closer towards that zone right there. We might see something happening. But speaking about the zone, we're moving all the way towards that fifth stage within the zone. As you can see, several different teams like Invictus are currently situated right in there, and we might see something going down between the boys from Active Gaming, Invictus, and the rest. We'll continue to keep an eye and see how all of that builds up.
Well, let's see, as we have now Reverb trying to reach in, bring in a bit of a play onto this Gen X. Meanwhile, we can see that feed also starting to line up. All the teams pretty much in the zone, aside from the squad there from Ruthless, who are yet to find that good footing to move in towards. But as we look up into the edge of the lovely Yasnaya, opportunity at hand! And up comes that final buster play as the Royal Academy now picks up a few more, right? Just a little handful of eliminations, sitting all the way up to 7.
900 IQ play coming in from 999 AMS right there. The one name we cannot pronounce to the boys from Royal Academy. Okay, help us change your name. But lovely stuff coming through right there as we're currently sitting down with just 7 teams left. We got 21 buddies in this one, and we're seeing the shots being let loose at every single corner. All of these teams are looking for the opportunity to take themselves out of the game, and the boys from Invictus do drop Moon down. Oh, he's pretty much just getting the revive on now, as several different teams are holding good spots, and the zone has now finally made its shift as the boys from Ultima are currently within that vicinity. It is left with the boys from EFX, the boys from Ruthless to continue to now make the rotations into that zone, and we might see something going down because there's not a lot of buildings, DK, for these teams to work with.
Yeah, definitely not a lot to work with, and this is where it is going to be quite favorable for the teams already situated within that zone, having the opportunity to really just capitalize on being proactive and getting themselves already well established. If we look at what is yet to come through from the side here of Ruthless, it's going to be a very challenging run, very exposed. Ultima could definitely capitalize, so could Invictus, and even potentially the players coming through from the side of EFX. So, whatever pathway they do decide to take, they need to do it quickly because there's not a lot of time left before the blue zone starts moving yet again.
Yeah, absolutely. So the boys from Invictus still holding what is a full squad right in this one, as they've got themselves 7 eliminations. We're curious to see what the outcome of that is, as we continue to see the shots being let loose onto several different teams. They're currently trying to keep the teams who are outside of the play zone at bay, and it is not looking quite easy for a lot of these players. We will see, what that means at the end of the day. You can see the shots being let loose right there by the boys from Invictus onto that position where the boys from Active Gaming are currently situated. As Rogue Baby, I do believe, does get one knockdown onto one of the players. And Active Gaming, who have not been having quite the best of days, who came into this game with a 3-man squad, will now be looking to see if they can get that revive onto one of the players. Surge, has been, putting in some good performances in the previous days, but not being able to replicate that today. But now the revive coming through, and they somehow are hanging on to this one in their life.
Well, let's see. Where will this one go? Now, Rogue Baby got that mini 14 in hand, 8 scope attached as well. Surge, the top G, having a bit of a struggle, holding up behind that tree. Is going to be dipping at their heels as well. So let's see, is this going to be another glorious run now for the side of Invictus? Ooh, very challenging play, but that is going to be the end of the road for Gen X, as they get taken down by beautiful, glorious combo from the players and a little bit of that blue zone contribution as well. But speaking of blue zone, we still have players out in the blue. The last one up is going to be Lyrad 999 MS, all the way there from the Royal Academy. Everybody else holding on to the zone. But who will be the one to take that winner chicken dinner? If you ask me, I think it could maybe be the players from Ultima Rage.
Yeah, Ultimate Rage looking quite good in this one, as they are making the push onto that region where the boys from EFX are currently situated at. And EFX is looking to see if they can get a central position as well. They're pretty close to the boys from Ultimate Rage, and we'll see what that means at the end of the day, as these several different teams are trying to inch quite closer and closer to each other. And the boys from Ultimate Rage, all they've got to do is just, hold on to that position. They've got a building to work with several different teams, just playing without cover outside the zone.
Let's see, is there going to be enough to make it work though? Ultima Rage, 3 players up, phenomenal positioning within the zone. All they got to do is defend and let the teams on the outlying regions alleviate a lot of that pressure for them. It's going to be up to the squad now from Invictus, rolling in. Oh, EFX finding a very hot and heated position to play from. Because Rogue and the rest of the shots connect on through. Reverb finds the heads, and now it's going to be Pyro and Reverb having to make that decisive call. Are they going to look to disengage and maybe get themselves positioned elsewhere, or will they look to keep a bit of a gatekeep on anyone they can find?
Yeah, absolutely. They were moving away from that position from Invictus, but now they will find themselves in a little bit of trouble, as the boys from Active Gaming and also the boys right there from Ultima Rage are also sending on shots onto this position. There's still the boys from Active Gaming sitting in this one with a 3-man squad who will be looking to move themselves into that spot within that zone. But Pyro and Reverb are also who moved away from that position where the boys from Invictus were at, are also at a spot where they can do some damage right here. really close to the boys on Ultimate Rage. So it's an Ultimate Rage show for now, DK. It is theirs to lose.
Well, let's see whether or not they are going to be able to beat those odds, right? Are they going to be able to maintain the position, still holding on to the only hard cover available in this area? The heat, the pressure is on. But they got to hope and pray that the teams surrounding them are going to be alleviating a lot of the pressure for them, because they can't really afford to fight on all these different angles. EFX slowly starting to move up. If I was Ultima here, I would maybe just try and secure position within the zone. Maybe just be a little bit active like Moon is being right now. But essentially let the blue zone try and do most of the work for you there. And, well, already we can see Sledge getting hit as EFX now sneak in from the side. And could this still be in the hand of Ultima Rage?
Man, several different teams are surrounding this region as Moon is trying as much as possible to keep them at bay, but you also got the boys from EFX who are also just lurking around and playing it quite well for themselves. But Active Gaming also coming into the mix. Reverb gets dropped down by the boys from Active Gaming as Prop Pro has been a real problem to the boys from EFX. Now they've got to find a way to keep their hopes alive in this one, and Pyro is playing this quite well. He does provide some cover for himself with the vehicles as the shots are being let loose, and Nez is trying as much as possible to see if he can take him down, because Pyro is the problem for them. If they can take down Pyro, then this whole entire region is open, and that's exactly what happens for the boys from Active Gaming, who do have 3 eliminations to their name. Now it is just Active Gaming and the boys from Invictus who are left in the game. Now they've got to pull up into that central position right there where the boys from Invictus are currently situated. You can see them just edging quite closer and closer as Surge is pulling up onto this location. He sends them some shots into that direction where Sneap is currently at, but in a 3v1 situation, it is looking like finally the boys from Active might be able to seal this one through, and that's exactly what happens. It is Active Gaming getting the winner chicken dinner of the night.
Well, there we go. Well done to Active Gaming, securing themselves that chicken with 4 eliminations to boot. Of course, Invictus stepping up there into second place, 13 eliminations strong. EFX coming through with 7. And then, of course, we got Ultima Rage sitting on 6. So a very heavy hand being dealt by our top 4, but also the players coming through from the Royal Academy, securing themselves 7 elims, as well as the players there from Ruthless. So you're going to say the top 6, I mean, maybe even the top 10, looking pretty dang spicy with regards to elims. Well, yeah, sure. Creed picking up 1 elimination to just keep it consistent, I guess. But the top 7 doing so much work. We did see Gen X also picking up their 6 elims. So yeah, good run coming through.
Yeah, absolutely amazing stuff coming through from all of these teams. The Boston Active have not had quite the day so far, but they managed to grab those 14 points, and I do believe that's going to boost them all the way up on that leaderboard. They were currently sitting down in 7 spots before this game started. But guys, it has been an amazing day. We've seen action at every single corner from the guys from guys like Apex, from O3 Brothers, from EFX, from Ultimate Rage, and all of these teams are currently gearing for that top dollar right there in that top spot. But we still got 2 days to go. We've got tomorrow and the next 8 more games to see who we're going to crown as the champion at the end of the day. So DK, I mean, give your feedback. What do you think about the team so far and how they've been playing?
I mean, it's been a very challenging approach looking at what the teams have been, or what they've had to deal with across the 4 matches here today. Obviously, we've seen a few rising stars, a few teams really stepping up to the challenge, keeping the pressure up, coming in with a lot of eliminations. But I think the majority of the work now needs to come through from the teams that are really close to that, right? That have not exactly clicked in just yet. I want to see that final bit of a push come through in these 2 remaining days. As you've said, 8 games is more than ample opportunity for the teams to try and rectify all these little things to just add that extra bit of spice on top. And who knows, that could mean the difference from not getting anything to maybe, making it up into the top 3.
Yeah, exactly. We'll see what that means at the end of the day. But for tonight, we're going to be calling it a night. But before the stream ends, I'm going to switch on to that leaderboard. But I'm going to let my main man DK go so that he can, we can all go and watch the PMPL and enjoy the PMPL. So guys, head over to that stream. Everyone who is watching here, please head over to the PNPL stream and make sure that you continue to hit that like on that stream and subscribe on that stream and support our main men, Crowns and Esmarie, who are currently streaming that. So please, guys, remember, again, I'm saying it again, I'm begging, I'm pleading. Let's make sure that we continue to boost the sub-Saharan African views by going over there to support them. All right, it is good night from me, guys, as my screen has gone blank. And I guess that is time where we call it a day. See you guys in the next one. Bye-bye.